All right, testing 1 2, testing 1 2. Testing. Running some tests. It will be starting shortly. The message that still manages to confuse people. All right, well, welcome back to yet another stream. We are in the sound test menu because that was the easiest way to test audio without having anything glitch out. So this game, the title screen, I think, is it the title screen? I think the title screen and a couple of other things run in... Well, actually, most of the game runs in 480i, but there are a couple things that run in 240p, like the full motion video. It's really weird. So, like, it glitches out the, you know, the capture card occasionally. So, thankfully, I could just sit in the sound test and just test things that way. So, but yeah, we're going to be playing the Japanese version of Ys III tonight. So this is a pretty cool remake of the game. Came out in 2004. Was it actually done by Falcom? It's got their name on it. Published by Taito. I have no idea. Everything's in Japanese. So, but we're going to play through this game. This will probably take us 2.5 to 3 hours to get through. I'll try to speed things up so it takes us hopefully a little bit less, but it's a cool remake. I wouldn't say it's like the definitive way to play Ys III, but if you're a fan of Ys III, it's absolutely worth playing. There are some really interesting changes they've made. It's still side-scrolling action, RPG type action. All of the original music is there, I believe, just remixed, as you can hear here. The story, well, I don't know the story word for word, but as far as how things progress in the actual game itself, it's pretty much identical to the original versions of the game. And it's cool, you know, as a big fan of Ys III, as someone who's done the Famicom version on this channel, the Genesis version, the Super Nintendo version, the PC Engine version, this is really cool. I'm glad I have this. I'm glad I've played it. I meant to do this a lot sooner. I actually bought this back over the summer, I think. It's been a good, like, 8 months or so since I've been meaning to do this. But my PS2 took a crap sometime in September after my Lament of Innocence stream. It just died on me. Or at least I should say the Blue Disc side of things. It could still read DVDs, but it couldn't read standard CDs. And Ys III is a standard CD. It's not a DVD-ROM. So, I finally dropped my PS2 off to the local shop about a month ago. Got it back last week. And we're back in business. So, we're finally doing Ys III for PS2 again, and there are a couple of other Blue Disc PS2 games I wanted to do, like Adventure Island, that remake, and whatnot. So, but yeah, thanks guys for showing up. Just a reminder that last Thursday of every month, well, I don't know. Tonight didn't go that well. It didn't go anywhere near as well as I had imagined in my head. But I'm gonna keep trying this. So at the end of each month, there's a monthly pinball tournament locally, and I don't get out much anymore. I mainly talk to you guys. I do my videos. I stream a lot because of my night shift. It makes it hard to get out and socialize. So at the end of last Thursday of every month is a pinball tournament that's right down the street from my house, and so I figured, you know, I can get out, try to socialize a bit, and that was tonight. So for the next 3 weeks, at least, we'll be doing the stream at the regular time, but just remember that the last Thursday of every month, I'm going to be going out and doing this pinball tournament thing, and coming home and streaming at 11 p.m. or 12 a.m. So that's why we got a late start today, but next week's live stream should happen at the usual time, so just a heads up on that. So with that, I was also sort of dilly-daddling before I even started the stream because I was editing my super chat slide. So speaking of that, let's go ahead and do the old Patreon shout out. So thanks everyone that is continuing to support my channel through places like Patreon, and I really, really appreciate it. By the way, guys, anyone that is a Patreon backer, or if you're a YouTube channel member or a Twitch subscriber, I'd like to do another Q&A video. So if you guys want to see another Q&A video, post on my Discord, or I will try to make a post on Patreon, and hope people respond. People don't really seem to respond that much on Patreon. I have a lot of backers, but not a lot of interaction over there. But if you're listening, I would like to do another Q&A. And so if you want to hear another Q&A, look out for that post I'll make shortly, probably in the next couple of days, looking for questions and whatnot. So, but yeah, thanks to all the recent live stream super chatters as well. We got a couple last week, and I really appreciate it, guys. Also, I changed the channel member badges. So if you're a channel member on YouTube, you get badges by your name. So if you look at Tony Hayden in the chat, he's got a dark blue G icon. I actually used to have a gold icon for the 6-month mark, but I moved that up to a year because Deadly Gaming is actually at 9 months right now. Unmayor, I think, is at 6 months, and so I needed to start differentiating them. So Tony's at 5 months, I believe, so he's got a magenta one. So next month he'll move up to the dark blue, and then hopefully 3 months from now, Deadly Gaming will move up to gold if he's still with us. So thank you guys. Also, you get these if you are a channel member, you get these icons on the left, these emotes. I might change out 1 or 2 of them. I might get rid of the hammer time. I might get rid of my cat, because most of you guys don't even know her for the most part. I haven't shown her on a video in a very long time, but that's who that little kitty is. That's my little cat. By the way, she's actually right behind me tonight too. When I came home from the event, she was on the futon in my game room, and so I didn't bother moving her like I normally do. So, but yeah, so I'm gonna get this spruced up a little bit more too, to give you guys a better idea of what the channel membership is like on YouTube. So it's another way to support the channel, and you get some funky icons by your name if you are in the chat. So speaking of which, there's Tony right there. Again, he's got the blue G. So thanks guys for that support as well. So, alright, let's go ahead and just start a brand new game. This is going to be a little bit of an intro. I'm going to be skipping the cutscenes and stuff like that for the most part. It's not really that interesting. There are multiple difficulty levels though, which is cool. I've only beaten the game on normal, so that's what we're going to be playing. But there is a hard mode I want to try sometime. So let's go ahead and jump into that. It has to be, Mike, it has to be a credit card or a bank account. I don't believe gift cards or anything like that work. So, but you can do it directly via their credit card payment processing, or you can go through PayPal. So if you use PayPal, you can sign up to Patreon with PayPal. Hey, Epic Jason, how's it going, man? Yeah, so there are a variety of ways to pay over there. And I think YouTube's system is the same way. I don't think it has to be like a credit card. It could be a bank account. They might allow PayPal. I'm not entirely sure. So, yeah, I'm not trying to spam it, but since Mike brought it up, if anyone is interested in supporting on places like Patreon, you can have it just automatically deduct like $1 out of whatever account you choose to pay with. And if you support multiple creators, it'll just take all that money out at once. So it's not like you're going to be charged 5 different times if you support 5 different creators or something like that. It's pretty convenient how Patreon works. They charge you at the first of the month. So like I get paid out, you know, between the 1st and the 5th of each month, but they will take money out from me directly from my payment source because I support other creators as well. And it's just easy. You just kind of like, you know, you don't even think about it. It just works. Hey, Optimus, welcome back, man. So just like in the originals, you basically walk into town as Adol, and Dogi's with you. And so you walk to the inn at the end of the town. And then the story kicks off from there. And then we're going to have to, as we leave the town, we're going to have to go buy some equipment. We're going to buy all the basic equipment, and then we will buy an herb as well. The Princess Bride at a local theater. Nice. This is a Japanese PS2 liberal arts guy. Yeah, it's a Japanese PS2 Slim. I bought it, God, man, I think I bought it like 6 or 7 years ago by this point. But then, again, sometime last year, the laser partially died. It stopped reading standard CDs. So one thing about this game, and this happens in the original games, but I think it's a little more cumbersome in this game. You have to talk to just about everybody. Not everybody, but you got to talk to specific characters to trigger the next event. And one thing I actually kind of don't like about this version is when you leave an area, it takes you to this sort of world map screen for the town. It's just a little weird. I think it would have been a lot better if they just had one big background. This little guy here, you actually do have to talk to him eventually. Right now, he's not saying a whole lot. I assume it's a he. I have no idea. But what we're going to do is just go through the town and talk to most of the people. I guess they introduce themselves and whatnot. Akela says, awesome to see this stream finally. Yeah, I think a lot of people will enjoy watching this. I mean, my Ys videos don't, at least all the Ys 3 streams I've done haven't gotten much viewership, but it's something I've just wanted to do. And I don't predict many people like watching this one, but for the people that do, that are interested, I think they'll really enjoy it because it's really interesting to see. Okay, let's not do that. This middle one should be the herb. You don't want to do the first one that is 100 gold, not right away. It fills up all your ring power, and right now we don't have any rings, so that is useless. So you only get 1,000 gold to start, so you wanna buy equipment so you can get a sword, shield, and armor. And you know, this is all in Japanese, but if you've played an English version of Ys 3 before, it is the same. It's so easy to figure out. Like, this is the shop guy. You can see there's swords, armor, and you know, a shield in the background. So it's kind of obvious, and you see the price tiers. Like, there's only 3 different pieces of equipment, you know, from this guy for the whole game. So, and some of it you might even skip because you might get better armor in the game. So you can press the L1 button to bring up your ring menu. You can press R1 to bring up your item menu. And we're not going to equip the herb right now. If you press triangle, you can bring up the menu. So let's actually go ahead and save it real quick, just in case something happens. And we will do the second slot. Really, I could just do any slot at this point. It doesn't really matter. Oops! Ugh, I always do that at least once. So, when you save the game, it asks you, would you like to continue or quit? And I selected quit. And so it takes you right back to the title screen. So, oops. Fortunately, it doesn't take long to load stuff in this game. So, you know, we'll be right back into it in just a minute. But yeah, you press triangle and you click this top option to go to your equipment screen. So we want to go ahead and just equip everything here. You know, the equipment screen is just like it is in other versions. You press R1 to see, like, sort of like the quest items or the main game items. They're not usable items, but, you know, like the event items, as they say. So there we go. Alright, I think we can skip this middle one, so we'll go to this last one here. And yeah, there should be a guy here who's hurt. Hey Greg, yeah, the Ys III on Super Nintendo is fun. And yeah, same. I played Ys III on Super Nintendo. That was my first Ys game, and I played it back in the day when it was pretty much new. And yeah, it wasn't quite like anything else I had played. And now we're gonna go to the mine. Hey, Encrypted Printer. It amazes me how many times this game has been remade, not just ported, but genuinely rebuilt each time. Yeah, I agree. It's actually quite interesting. I mean, the first 2 Ys games as well. Now, what's unique to this version compared to others is this is like a training section. Yeah, everything else is in English, but the important stuff is in Japanese. So for those of you guys that have never played Ys, any Ys game, there is a good amount of grinding going on in these games. And we don't want to take too much damage here in the beginning, because enemies will do... Well, they actually don't do as much damage as they do in other Ys games. Or I should say, the original versions of Ys III. Now, they'll probably do a lot more if you play, say, on hard mode or something like that. So that is something I definitely want to try sometime. But, I might actually do that soon, you know, just to kill some time. So one nice thing about leveling up in this game, by the way, is that you do actually get all your health back when you level up. But just like the other classic Ys games, when you're out in the... Holy crap, I actually got a game over. Jesus, man, that's embarrassing. So when you die like that, it'll actually take you to your previous save file. So I think that's... Put this right back in town. So we have to actually do that all over again. That is super embarrassing. I didn't think that would happen. But this is also why you save often. Save, and save often. It's like, well, that just added about 10 minutes to our playthrough. Yeah, I really would have liked it if they had just, like, one long town, like in the original game, and Adol walked across the screen. Or maybe he had, like, a run function or something like that. Because when he's in an actual action area, he moves a lot faster. You'll notice that he actually sort of runs as you move. So movement is actually pretty brisk. I think it would have been better if the town was set up like that. Alright, so we get to do this again. It's okay. It's not a big deal. So one thing that's also a little bit different too is, whereas in the original Ys III, it's just, all you do is you just hit once and once and once. There aren't any combos or anything. But in this game, if you keep pressing the attack button... hold on a second. Yeah, we have to actually equip our stuff again. There we go. So, if you have a sword equipped, not your basic dagger in the beginning, if you just keep pressing the attack button rapidly, you'll do a 4-hit combo. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 5 hits, not 4. Alright, let's go ahead and save it, just in case I get stupid again. We don't want to do that all over again. Yeah, so what I was kind of banking on the last time we were here is just leveling up and getting my health back. But that didn't happen, for obvious reasons. But yeah, if you walk outside, your health bar will actually refill as well. Now, as far as the grind in this game, I'd say this beginning area is probably one of the worst, just because, you know, it's just not that much fun to me, to be honest with you. I actually like grinding out in the very beginning of the originals a lot more, because for one, the screen scrolls. You'll notice that the screen just fades out every time you cross one of the borders. It doesn't scroll. Now, the screen can scroll. It's just, for some odd reason, they chose for most screens to be segmented like this, which I don't like. It kind of hurts the flow of the game, in my opinion. It's a little weird. You know, it might be fine on its own normally, but if you're used to the original games, it just feels kind of odd. And it's one of the things they've done with this version of the game that I'm not necessarily a huge fan of. This should level us up right here. There we go. And speaking of which, what I like to do a lot of times is just save after every level up as well. We're going to be saving at a lot of different points in the game, so that's going to add time to our playthrough, but it's not going to be a significant amount. If you hold the attack button while you're in the air, you can do sort of a down slash. You have to hold down and press it as well. Sorry. Interestingly, you can do an up slash. You can do an up slash in the original game, but in the original game, it's It's straight up. In this one, it's sort of a 45-degree angle. Which actually has some great purposes on certain boss fights. You're going to see me using it on specific bosses in the game, which is really cool. Now, what I also like about this game, this version, is the bosses are actually kind of fun to fight. They're not amazing or anything, but they do have discernible patterns and things like that. And because the hit detection is pretty spot on in this, it actually feels pretty legit. Whereas in the original Ys III, the actual combat on boss fights in particular could feel pretty clunky and sometimes not necessarily work all the time, especially if we're talking the Super Nintendo version of the game. But this version is pretty solid. I mean, if your sword connects with an enemy, it hits said enemy. It's consistent. It's good. So this feels a little more like a traditional action, side-scrolling action game in that regard, which is good. Yeah, the good thing about the Ys games is that, you know, they are grindy, but I don't usually feel like, I don't usually feel bored when I grind in these games because the grind isn't as long as it can be in other role-playing games. Especially once you get your attacks down and whatnot. Although, I do feel it is a little more repetitive in this game, specifically because of things like these weird screen changes and things like that. I'd rather you be able to push the screen over and then, you know, just have enemies respawn like in the original games. I think that would have been a much better throwback. But design choices like this can be interesting because it makes the game feel a little bit different than what we're used to in other versions of the game. And that can be a cool reason to play something like this. So we're going to level up once more on these screens, and then we're going to push down to that vertical area. Yeah, normally I level up a lot in this area. Like, I'll probably get my health bar, like, over halfway up. But I don't think I'm going to do that in this playthrough. I think I might try to push forward to go to the next area after this, after the cave, and just kind of see what happens with that. I don't know, we'll try it, and if worst case scenario, if I get my ass handed to me, then we can just come right back and grind out some more in the next area of this cave. Alright, not too much more. We'll level up again. Alright, screw you, bee. Wasp, hornets, whatever you are. Freakish looking thing. By the way, guys, I wanted to say thanks for all the comments and whatnot on my Castlevania 4 surprise stream from last week. It was a really fun hack to play through. And for those of you guys that haven't seen it yet, I recommend at least skipping through the stream, just especially towards the end. You can see how ridiculous some of the levels get in that ROM hack. We ended up beating it, which was great. But it took us a lot longer than expected. But it was fun overall. And it seems like the people that tuned in really enjoyed it as well. I got some really good comments on the video as well. So thanks, guys, for that. And let's go ahead and save it. Yeah, just don't play Ys III on that Town of Horus. I actually tried that, and I got the exact same glitch that I did with my flash card. So basically, for Ys III Super Nintendo, what I ended up doing is just buying a copy of the Japanese one. It was like $5, shipping included. Yeah, so that was great. We just ended up playing it via real card, although it wasn't in English. I wanted it to be in English for that specific stream. Yeah, so what we're going to do here is level up maybe twice. Actually, we'll probably just level up once and then progress. If we come into this room here, the power ring is available. So if I wanted to, I could use the power ring. Yeah, Encrypted Printer, I totally agree. The backgrounds are actually quite nice. They're not as nice here as they would be on an actual CRT. I am going through the FrameMeister. It is de-interlacing it. It is a 480i picture. But if you play this on a CRT, it actually looks really good. Doesn't look as good upscaled. When I take hits in particular, you'll see the lines from the de-interlacing. It's so it's not the best image, but yeah, if anyone out there gets this game and you play it on a traditional set, it looks really nice. I definitely like what they've done with the visuals. And one thing that's actually kind of cool, you'll see it later on in this cave, is it's not the same viewpoint all the time. Like, you'll notice that. Oh, I don't know. Is Adol smaller here than he was in the previous screen? Let's check. After I kill some enemies, these guys keep respawning. Yes. Okay, no, he's about the same size, but there are going to be screens where he's like completely zoomed in. It's really cool. It's very interesting. Like, I don't know if they actually redrew the sprite or if they literally just scaled it in whatever engine they're using. It's pretty cool. Oops. I'm not even worried about taking hits, honestly, because I'm so close to leveling up, and these guys aren't doing that much damage to me. And there we go, and we get all our health back. So if I really wanted to, what I can do here is just keep grinding out for another 1,000 experience. But what I think I'm going to do is just progress, and we're going to just sort of wing it and see how it goes. What I found is that, at least on the normal difficulty in this, the game's not as hard as it is in classic versions of the game. Enemies do a lot less damage in the very beginning here. In the first game, you can die in like 2 or 3 hits immediately, and then when you get to that vertical area with the ogres and whatnot, and the pink bats or birds or whatever, they'll kill you in like 1 or 2 hits. Oh, that's interesting. I can actually push the screen up from the bottom here, but because I'm not attached to anything, I just fall right back down. Interestingly, you can't jump on the stairs in this, but you can jump off. I wish there was a way to jump on, but you can't, unfortunately. It's not a big deal, but it's... I always find it interesting in games where they let you jump off, but not back on. So, there's going to be an item here. You have the Genesis version. The game cannot hold a save anymore. That's probably a battery backup game. You could probably just replace the battery in that pretty easily. Yeah, Genesis Ys III is great. Yeah, it's definitely a good one. Doesn't this have the option of 480p? This game does not. I checked, actually. I was curious about that last week when I was playing this again. Yeah, no 480p option in this. Although with hacks, you can force 480p, but it doesn't always work. Or if it does work, it can result in performance issues in the game, depending on how the game was optimized. So that I haven't tried. I might try it eventually. But It's not a huge deal because, you know, I am running this through the Falcom Ys III, so it deinterlaces it. It makes it look like a more consistent image. It makes it look more like a progressive image. But still, to get the best picture quality, you want to use a progressive, like, you know, picture if you can, or progressive signal. But this game does not support that. A lot of PS2 games did not support progressive. Many did, but many also did not, unfortunately. Yeah, what's actually interesting, I played Tekken 4 last week, and it actually supports progressive. Definitely looks nice and crisp, that's for sure. Although I would like to do that through my OSSC, but my OSSC is currently attached to my arcade cabinet right now, and I've just been too lazy to disconnect it from that. So I've basically been using my Falcom Ys III exclusively for the retro gaming stuff on YouTube. I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and just grind out to the next level again. And then try to take on this boss. I'm sure I could take on the boss right now just fine. But we're going to play it safe. I have to level up anyway. But I'm going to stop there, then try to beat the boss and see what happens. Hey, Red Zero Ranger, what's going on? This looks better than the SNES version. Well, yeah, I would hope so. It's a PlayStation 2. Yeah, honestly, I wasn't expecting much with this version of the game, but then I checked out a YouTube video and I was actually pretty impressed by it, which is what got me to buy it last year. It was actually, I think, on our, might have been on our Genesis Ys III stream where I checked it out. And that's what got me to get it. Yeah, and it wasn't too expensive at the time either. I think it only cost me like... I think it might have been like 25 bucks, which is, you know, it's still pretty reasonable. And I don't think it's really gone up in price since, although I could be wrong. Because with, like... with how crazy the retro collecting market can be, you never know with prices, you know? But, yeah, I think it was worth it. I do want to get the Ys 1 and 2 remake on PS2 as well. But I'm not as familiar with Ys 1 and 2, especially 2. Like on the PC Engine, I mainly played the first Ys, Book 1. And I got close to the end of that, I believe, but I never actually finished it. And so naturally, I never even gave Book 2 a try. So I still want to get the PS2 remake of that, but it wouldn't be as easy for me to jump into because I don't know Ys Books 1 and 2 like I know Ys 3. I know Ys 3 very, very well because, you know, I kind of grew up with this game. And then, before jumping into this PS2 version, I had already gone through the Famicom, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, and PC Engine versions. All in like a 2-month time span, I think. And I did YouTube streams of all those for anyone that is curious. Alright, so not too much more, and we'll get to level up again. So these ogres here, they give us 10 experience points. But what I like more are these pink bats. Because they give me 6, but they usually come in pairs. So you can, you know, go bam bam and, you know, work up a quick 12 experience points. And they only take 1 hit, whereas the ogres take 2. So it takes a little bit less time. Town of Horror says Book 2 is dope. Word. Alright, getting very close to leveling up. Yeah, notice that these enemies are barely doing any damage to me. Just 1 hit point. So it's like, I don't even care if I take a hit. It just really doesn't matter. Alright, 2 more ogres. And there we go. Alright, let's go ahead and save it. Oh, Optimus is heading out. Take care, Optimus. Thanks for popping in again. And speaking of which, let me go ahead and scroll up the chat. I'm sorry I haven't been responding to chat a lot. Is Oath the next version I'm going to do? I am going to try to do Oath. I have to play through it again. And, yeah, I have to do it again. And see how long it takes. It's a lot longer than the original version, so we'll see. Liberal Arts Guy asks, do Japanese PS2s have better video quality than American PS2s? No, it's the exact same thing. Exact same thing. Let's see. Oh, Raymond says regarding the Castlevania thing, you love how on the timestamps most stages were 15 minutes long, but then at the very end, stage 10 was over an hour. Yeah, I was gonna leave a comment that mentioned that because I noticed the same thing too when I went to do the time codes. I was like, oh geez, man. All right, just in case we get close to dying, we're gonna go ahead and you know, have an herb equipped. 2D side-scroller Ys. Why are you saying ew? This is normal for Ys 3. Ys 3 was always side-scrolling. Yeah, so what I do like about these bosses is they do have discernible patterns. And they do in the original Ys 3, but in the original Ys 3, especially depending on the version you played, it could be really clunky, really goofy, really janky in terms of animation and whatnot. Yeah, Ys 3 has a tendency of being sort of like the redheaded stepchild of the series. Not in that it's bad or anything, it's just that it's the oddball in that it's side-scrolling. Whereas pretty much every other Ys game was top-down. But it's still a great game. It is a fantastic game. Alright, so with that out of the way, we can actually go back to town. We don't have to grind out. A lot of times what I do is I just grind out here. Which is probably the wise thing to do, honestly. But we're not going to. We're going to keep pressing on. Yeah, so what usually ends up happening is I max out my levels by like, it's a little past the halfway point in the game. And the problem with doing that is that it makes things, you don't, like, there's not as much reason to kill enemies after that. Like, killing enemies in the early game, like, you do it because you want to level up and you want to improve your strength and things like that. And defense. Now, you get gold, but I don't care as much about the gold because your best equipment, you don't buy. Your best equipment, you find out in the wild eventually, so... alright, so let's go to the shop. First, actually, let's talk to this lady. We found Roy's pendant, and we can give it to Roy's grandmother here. And she'll give us the shield ring. I don't actually ever use the shield ring. If I was playing on hard mode, if I was playing on hard mode, it probably would matter a lot more. Alright, so we have a little bit of gold here, so I'll go ahead and buy something. pretty sure I have enough gold for at least one thing. Wow, I don't even have enough gold for that. Okay. Well, see, that's the downside to not grinding out, is I actually didn't have the gold to get at least one of the items I wanted, so that's a bummer. There is not an English release as far as I'm aware. Anyone out there in Europe, let me know if this was ever released over there for PS2. I don't think it was. But it was definitely not released in North America on PS2, unfortunately. His soundtrack is pretty hype. Yeah, it's alright. My big issue with this soundtrack is that it sounds like they used some kind of synthesizer keyboard and just like used its built-in canned sampled sounds to make the music, and it sounds so generic. But because Ys III has an amazing soundtrack, like the tunes themselves, like the compositions, sort of still lend themselves well even to this kind of more generic sound style. I'm a little confused here. Okay, actually, no, I didn't want to go here. Actually, I'm a real idiot. I'm getting way ahead of myself, man. Way ahead of myself. I'm actually supposed to go back into the cave. I don't know why I'm blanking out so badly tonight, man. Yeah, that's why things aren't triggering. I'm supposed to, there's a whole other area in boss to fight. Such an idiot. It's okay. You guys knew that already. Yeah, so we're gonna fight boss number 2, rescue the mayor. I think he's the mayor. I don't remember what he is. I think he's a mayor. Yeah, we're gonna fight boss number 2, rescue the mayor. We'll just call him that anyway. And then we go back to town. Then we talk to people. Then we'll have enough money to buy, you know, one of those sets of equipment. And then we can go to the next place. Hey, Mambo! Download MIDIs from the internet. Run through Yamaha keyboard. Profit. Basically. No, it actually is very comparable, Bambo. It's funny you mentioned that. Yeah, so this is what I was talking about. Notice how the screen is zoomed in a little bit? It's pretty cool. I like how it does that. That is actually one of the benefits to segmenting the screen like it's done. Although I think some kind of active zooming probably would have been cooler. I always love active zoom features in classic games. So this is actually a spot I would grind out at sometimes. I think every time you do this, these guys will give you like 50 EXP. But let's see if we can do the boss without doing that. I'm curious because it is fun trying to challenge yourself a little bit. Let's skip through all this dialogue. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, Mambo. It probably does, yeah. Maybe that's why the soundtracks to all the different versions are so close to each other in terms of, you know, like note length and things like that. Okay, we'll see you, John Evan. Take care.
僕はさっきの
Okay, let's go ahead and save it. Yes, we're at level 6 already. And note that the max level in this is 19. Or sorry, not 19, 16. I got the 6 and 9 confused because there was one save file with a 9 in it. Dyslexic Austin is dyslexic. Alright, let's go ahead and use our power ring on this one. Alright, so this guy is going to shoot down a projectile, and then if you get close, it's going to use a laser. Kind of like that. And you can see when it's charging up, too. It's actually a lot easier to deal with than it is in some other versions of the game. Boom. So you always want to unequip your ring, otherwise it'll just keep using itself. And the ring energy will just constantly tick down. So let's go ahead and get rid of that. There we go. Ys III is not on GOG. I don't think any of the old ones are on GOG. Yeah, I don't think any of the old ones are on GOG. I think it's... Are any of the new ones on GOG? I know some of them are on Steam. Hey, TPJ, thank you for that super chat. Much appreciated. So, now that I'm no longer confused, we can actually go and talk to people now. So let's come back here. Never thought you'd see someone playing Ys III on YouTube. Well, this is the 5th version I've played on YouTube, actually. Wait, no. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, it is the 5th version. Holy crap. And there will be a 6th version eventually when we do Oath and Felghana. Yeah, I have archives of the Genesis, Super Nintendo, and PC Engine version, and Famicom versions of the game. So, Mambo says a number of Ys games are on GOG. Okay. Oath and Felghana is awesome, Mambo. You should definitely play it. I mean, just the soundtrack alone is just like, mwah, so good. It's one of my favorite game soundtracks, like, ever. They did such a good job with it. I mean, especially if you like fast hard rock and metal. Well, it sort of goes into metal territory. It is hard at points, but they just did an awesome job with it. And the game is just so much fun too. It's simple, but it's fun. Yeah, I actually have Oath and Felghana on Steam, but I wanted to do the PSP version whenever I streamed it here. And that, unfortunately, I don't have a physical copy. I just have a download from PSN. And I have it on my PS TV. Yeah, so I have it on my PS TV, and I just got an HDMI splitter a couple weeks ago, which should remove the HD copy protection. So... yeah, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna test the PS TV through that, see if it does actually remove the HDCP. And if it does, that's where I'd like to play Oath and Felghana. Yeah, see, this is one of those things, like, they just moved me over to the end right here. So you've got to do very specific things to trigger other things. So I bet if I go back to the mayor now, he will be there. So when I first played this version, that actually really caught me off guard. And in the original Ys 3, there is no church that you can go into. There might be one on the town street, but I don't even think there is one. It's just a generic town, you know? So now that we went into the church, realized some dude was not there, now we can talk to the mayor. And then this should trigger, allowing us to go to the next area. The original versions of Ys 3 did that annoying thing where you got to get close to the edge of the screen to scroll it. As far as the console versions, no, I don't think you had to get too close to the edge to scroll it. I don't think so, anyway. Hey, Devout Craziness, what's going on? Oops. No, why did you do that? Yeah, so what I have a tendency of doing is pressing X by accident. And in Japan, generally you press circle to go forward, not X. And I pressed X like it's a North American game. Those who play it despise the other ports? I'd have to play it myself, honestly, but all the ports have their own quirks, I've found. And some ports are better than others, like Genesis version is better than the Super Nintendo one. Because the hit detection works most of the time, unlike the Super Nintendo one. And the last boss isn't complete BS like it is in the Super Nintendo one. But while the Genesis and Super Nintendo ones are definitely more visually appealing than the PC Engine version, I found the PC Engine one was actually the most fun to play. Genesis and PC Engine ones, from what I understand, are the most faithful to the PC 98 version, or PC 88 version. Which is good. Whereas the Super Nintendo one is, they definitely did some things in that to, sort of set it apart a little bit. I mean, it's still basically the same game, but, you know, like it scrolls really smooth, and I don't think the PC 88 version did. But I would like to buy, I would like to play that version eventually. PC 88, Nicholas, is a computer in Japan. It's a Japanese PC. It's PC 88, and there's PC 98, and there are a bunch of others. Then there's the Sharp X68000, which is like the holy grail of Japanese computers for some of us. I believe Ys 3 was on that as well. Yeah, so what I'm going to do here is actually level up. Because these guys actually give decent experience points. And these, like, dog cat things with whips, they're actually a little more dangerous than these other guys, so it's probably best not to do anything with them, but yeah, whatever. I'm a hypocrite, as like right as I get hit by them. One thing about this game is I find the combo system really isn't all that useful, because as you grind out, like, you'll kill enemies in 1 or 2 hits, and so it's almost kind of redundant, you know? The combo system works way better in games like Oath and Felghana, where enemies take a lot of hits, you know? And there are like special modes you can activate in that too, and you can wreck enemies harder. I think you can even like shoot fireballs at later parts of the game, and other special abilities you can activate. And the combat is just so much fun in that game compared to the original Ys 3. Yeah, I'm just gonna go up to 6,000 here because I'm boosting my EXP really quickly. There's pretty much little risk, so I'm gonna go ahead and just do it anyway. Magic Knight Ray Earth? I would like to, but I don't have access to it right now. I actually owned that on Saturn back in the day. I bought it right when it came out. And since it was the last Saturn release in North America, and I actually beat it multiple times back then. It was fun. I would like to do it eventually. Probably not the Super Nintendo original or Super Famicom one, but I would do the Saturn one because that's what I had back in the day. No. When did Oath and Felghana come out? I thought Oath and Felghana was more like 2006 or something. Or was it 2005? Or was it 2004? I don't think it was as early as 2004. Yeah, this version came out in 2004. No, it's not necessary, Tony. I appreciate it, dude. For one, I wouldn't feel comfortable holding on to an expensive game like that. But, two, I can burn Saturn discs. I've just been really lazy about it. But I also plan on buying the Satiator when it comes out, and once I get that, I'll have access to pretty much anything on Saturn. Alright, so we're going to push forward here. I think we can probably do fine. Although, the next area that we go to, the enemies are actually a much higher level. These birds actually give good experience. And I'm just gonna skip these guys. They're a little clunky to hit. So I just like to jump over them. Oops! My jump button didn't register! That was great. Oath came out in 2005. Holy crap. Yeah, it must have been PC in 2005. It's the PSP version, I don't think was until later. Probably not till like 2007 at least. We're gonna just kind of jump over those fire things. They're kind of a pain to hit. Alright, so we're gonna go through this cinematic here. Or, not really cinematic, but exposition. And then they're gonna boot us down into the fire pit. Or fire cave. And we'll be down there in the fire cave for a little while, just grinding out and whatnot. March 24th, 2005? That doesn't make any sense because this came out... The copyright date on the back of the box is 2004. So I would take that supposed release date with a grain of salt. Like, the actual copyright on the back of the box is 2004, so... Metroid music? I don't know what you guys are talking about. I definitely don't hear Metroid. I hear Ys III. We're already up to level 9. We're getting, you know, pretty close to maxing out our levels already. Alright, so there's an area over here to the right that we can't go to yet, so what we're gonna do is just do our thing, grind out here for a little while. There's gonna be an herb that appears here. Notice that Adol actually says something when you step up here. So when I use my herb, like so, pressing R2 to use it, if I go off the screen and come back, the herb will reappear. Like I said, this is very faithful to other versions of the game in terms of progression and whatnot. Alright, so let's go ahead and re-equip this just in case something bad happens. Go ahead and use the herb. Yeah, so notice that guys are actually doing a lot of damage here, and I don't think I have any other equipment right now. Oh no, I got another shield, so I should probably equip that. There was a flip phone port of Ys III. Oh god. Well, I will never play every version of Ys III now. It's confirmed. Just not doable. I think the ARB thing was, I think that was the Genesis version. And it was only at one point in the game. There are other parts where it says you picked up an herb. But then in other points where it's like, you got an ARB. Alright. And I really shouldn't be too greedy here. I should just go ahead and just use the herb when I've got it to play it safe. Because these guys are doing a lot of damage because we came here a little bit later than I normally do. Normally when I get here, I am a little bit stronger. But we're actually kind of weak now. But that's fine. I actually kind of like it that way because one of the things about Ys III is that I do feel overpowered very early in the game. It's very easy to become overpowered. And it's not until the later parts of the game where enemies start, you know, really dishing out the damage again. But by that point, you're at the end of the game and it almost doesn't even matter. You know, and you don't even care about gold by that point either, so you just skip everything. Tony and Miku, I have no idea what the hell you guys are doing, but you're kind of creeping me out here. With all your little baby talk. Scaring me, guys. You're scaring me. Let's go ahead and just level up again. There we go. Alright, what I might try to do is actually go to the boss and see if we can actually fight him. We might not be able to right now, but I'm kind of curious. Get a room, you two! Actually, I don't think Tony's wife would appreciate that. Tony, what are you doing? In that chat? Stop it! Hey, we're killing him in one hit now. Alright, so we're gonna try to see if we can actually hurt this boss decently. If we can't, then we're gonna grind out to another level. Alright, so this flame here is still in this, which is cool. But you can actually avoid it a little bit better than you can in other versions. You can just kind of sit under it at the right time. Kind of like so. You're right, Mambo. You're absolutely right, man. You've made a good point. I don't know. And I kind of don't want to know, but just saying. So a dragon's gonna pop out here. We're doing decent damage, actually. But he's also doing decent damage to us. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? Oh, no, I did. Okay. Whew. I was like, did I forget to get another herb? No. So every boss in the game except one will give you your health back when you beat them. So I'm not really worried about using my herb right here unless I'm like literally about to die. But I think I should be fine. Yeah, we're fine. Mike goes, what did I just walk back into? Alright, let's get rid of that, and let's go ahead and save it. Because I don't trust myself. Aw, Tony, you don't have to leave us, man. Well, I mean, unless you have to. Unless you gotta go sleep, you know? But thank you, sir, for hanging out. I appreciate it. It's good to see you. I mean, if I really wanted to, I could try to level up again, but it takes so long. I don't want to. Alright, so with the item we got from the boss, we can clear this fire pit. I have to get up in the morning. Boo! Boo, Tony, boo. No, I understand, man. Sleep well. Fire to the face, just walk it off. I actually, when I was playing this on Twitch, I walked straight into that fire pit without even paying attention. You die instantly. And I hadn't saved it for a while, so I had to go all the way back. It was pretty bad. Yeah, one of the unfortunate things is that you can't just skip through the exposition. Like, you can't just hit start and just, you know, just cancel it all out. Even after you've beaten the game, it's kind of annoying. I wish there was like a trimmed down mode where you could skip all that stuff. Yeah, and I always like to save it after exposition like that, because if you saved it before it and you die and you go back, you have to listen to it all over again. This boss is pretty easy. I don't think we're gonna have a problem with this guy. Let's go ahead and use this. He basically like just slams down to the ground like this. And you just whack him in the back of the head a couple times. Oop, you gotta watch out for that though. Come on. Why am I getting hit by this? Oh, that's right. It's because I suck at video games. There we go. I mean, the idea is just to let him stomp down and then you just whack him in the head. If I suck, you should. Then if you suck, then I shouldn't even be allowed to play games. Oh man. Yeah, I wish I had more soda here. I went to McDonald's before starting the stream and got a drink. It was gone by the time I started. Oh geez, Wily Wars. Yeah, I need to actually go back to that because I want to do a live stream of that where we go through all the Mega Mans on that and then do Wily Tower, do it in one sitting. So what I think I'm going to do is actually level up here as well. We only need 1,000. And this is the spot, you know? I will say, this is probably one of my least favorite areas in the game because it looks super generic. It's just like a bunch of bricks. I liked how they did like the background and tiles in, you know, the 16-bit versions back in the day. They just look more unique. Like it really looked like some kind of temple. This just looks like you're walking in some like underground passage. You're not actually like in a temple of some kind or you know. They did a really good job with this place in Oath and Felghana. It really stands out. Yeah, so we need 5,000 more experience, and that's, we're not going to do that. That'll take a while. So we're just going to try to progress through the game kind of normally from here on out. Normally what I do is I sit in these early areas, and I just grind out. That's good, Liberal Arts guy. That's good, man. Yeah, I want to get off the fast food in general. Unless it's going to a place like Subway and just getting a salad. But I've gotten really bad with the fast food over the last several months in particular. And it's catching up with me really fast. So I need to start waning off of it. Yeah, no, I don't do delivery very often because then you gotta tip people and it costs even more money. You know, if I had more money, it would be different, but I'm kind of a broke ass at most times, yeah. So if I get something, if I get like Domino's, I go pick it up. This is right next to my apartment complex. It's a lot cheaper if you just go pick it up. Okay, so I actually, I mean, I kind of want that that sword, but we'll just kind of we'll try to wing it without the sword. Can't live without your Popeyes. Finger looking good. Salads get they get pricey at most places. Yeah. Subway in particular, I'm actually kind of annoyed at how expensive their salads are, because it's like, you're not really giving me that much, and you're not giving me the bread, and they don't discount anything if you don't use, you know, certain vegetables or whatever. But they're happy to charge you more if you use a couple slices more of really thin meat and cheese. I don't really like how Subway handles it, but I do like how their salads taste. You know, I just get spinach, tomatoes, turkey, provolone, onions. That's usually it. And it tastes really good. But it'll cost me like $8.50 at most Subways I go to. Some Subways have charged me only they've only charged me for the equivalent of a 6-inch sub, but for a salad. But most places will charge me like the full $8.50, and that's before a drink. If I want a drink, it always comes out to like $10. So that's pretty annoying. I'm trying to think of what I need to do now. I think I need to go back to the cave. I'm gonna go here just in case. Again. I do like Wawa's hoagie bowls. There, it's basically a salad, but it's very heavy in the meat. And we're gonna do this one more time. Heavy on the meat. But, you know, they pile on the tomatoes, there's a good amount of spinach, and, you know, it's cheese, and I usually get onions as well on top of it. And that's decent for me. And it's like $5, you know? So it's a much better deal. But, of course, like any other place, if you get the drink, or if you get anything else, the price goes up big time. Alright, I think we should be able to come back here now. I think we've qualified it. Speaking of which. Oops. Oh my god. Japan. Stop it. I do like that lens flare. You don't see that very often in the game. It's like right here. I don't think it's anywhere else in the whole game. Yeah, so I think we've qualified this. So basically where we got the power ring earlier, there's a locked door, and I think we can go into it. I think. I hope so. It's one of the things about Ys III. I always get the progression of the game confused. Yes, we can. Okay. Alright, so guys here will probably do decent damage. Yeah. But they also give decent experience. Alright, we're gonna come over here first, get ourselves an item. For some reason, these jellyfish-looking things, they actually give us decent experience. Like, I think more so than most other enemies in this place. And I think they're the first enemies to be killed in one hit in this place once you level up. Yeah, you'll notice that I haven't really been using my rings much outside of boss fights, and it's just because this version is so much easier than other versions of the game. So I don't really bother with them until, like, the late parts of the game where I need, say, like, the health regen. You'll get a health regeneration ring. Lens flare, even though the sun's not visible in the background. Oh, man. So this was a good spot to grind out. I did it the other day when I was playing this. Ah, jeez. It's a lot better when you can kill them in one hit. Alright, let's actually come down here. And then come up here. This should give us some equipment. Yeah, some armor. By the way, the an easy Ys III. Well, I mean, Ys III is usually really easy, no matter what. It's just easier. Keep in mind, there are difficulty modes in this, though. You have easy, normal, and hard. I haven't gone through hard mode. Hard mode is probably a lot harder. And easy mode is probably a lot easier, I would assume, based on the naming. Yeah, Ys III has never been hard for me up until the final boss. That's always been the trouble point for me in any version of Ys III. Especially the Super Nintendo version. God, man, so in the Genesis version and in the PC Engine version, or TurboGrafx version, you can use a ring that makes you invincible. Does that even work in the Super Nintendo one? Wait, no, I think that ring still works in the Super Nintendo one, but the way the final boss works is like that ring is almost useless against him. I think. I'm gonna have to go back and refer to my stream of that. It's been a little while now. But there's an item in other versions of the game, PC Engine and Genesis, and Famicom actually, where if you die, you get regenerated instantly. The Super Nintendo version doesn't have that, I think. There was something really weird like that. Like, you could use it as a crutch. There was something about that final boss that was just absolutely horrendous. Also, the SNES boss's final boss's weak spot is only open for a super short period of time. So the boss is amazingly tedious. It is amazingly tedious. I'm not going to use my herb because I might need it on the boss. So I'm going to save it here in case we die, so we don't lose that experience progress. The fairy necklace, yeah. That's it. Yep. Yeah, and when I went to go play that, and I was frustrated, man. Because I had already gone through the Famicom one and the Genesis version by that point. And I was like, man, that really changes like how fun it is to play this version. It's kind of a shame. And then the Super Nintendo one also has like this really wonky ass hit detection. Like your attacks will just go right through the enemies, and it's the worst on the final boss. It's awful. And it just sucks because you know, it's a great looking version of the game. It really is. Oh my god, see, that's why I saved it. Yeah, I mean, it's just a shame because, you know, the game sounds great on Super Nintendo. I mean, for an early Super Nintendo title. And I think it looks fantastic. I think it's, you know, probably the best looking version of the game from back then. Not counting the computer versions. I haven't played the 68,000 version, if it exists. Mambo mentioned it, so I assume it exists. Like, the colors are just so much smoother in that version. There are more colors, obviously, than, say, the Genesis version. But that doesn't mean a whole lot when, like, the collision detection only works half the time. Now, when you're playing the game normally, I don't really notice issues like that, but it's when you get to something like the final boss, who's legitimately difficult. Whether you're playing the Super Nintendo or Genesis version, it's still a difficult final boss. He's actually not bad at all in this version. But then you combine that with, you know, a more difficult final boss in the Super Nintendo version. You combine that with wonky hit detection, a broken fairy necklace, apparently. So less ways to heal on the final boss. It's frustrating. Super frustrating. And it sucks because, like, the rest of the game is, for the most part, fine, even with those issues. Up until that point, and then it just, you know, it just falls off a cliff. It gets bad. Alright, let's just come over here. I should probably save it again. It is kind of interesting just pushing forward like this, because like I said, normally I am at a higher level by the time I get to places like this. I probably would have been at level, you know, 13 or 14 by this point, before we even got up to level 12 just now. Alright, let's go ahead and use that. This guy actually isn't bad at all. He's kind of a pain in some other versions of the game. Like, he'll have multiple orbs that bounce around. One orb will teleport you back, and another one will actually hurt you. But in this version, he just spits stuff out. Bam, just like that. But yeah, I mean, issues with the Super Nintendo version aside, I think it's really fun going and playing all the different versions of Ys III, because it's not like a super complex game. It doesn't require a huge time commitment. Like this version, you know, we will probably have beaten in 2.5 to 3 hours time. The stream's only been running for 1.5 hours. We haven't even been playing for 1.5 hours. And it's the same thing with the other versions of the game. They're quick experiences for the most part. You can beat them in one sitting, which is very uncommon with, you know, any sort of RPG-oriented game. This game is much more action than it is RPG, but it is an action RPG. For that genre, it's a very short game. Very, very short game. One of probably one of the shortest in this, like, sort of subgenre of games is Castlevania 2 on the NES, which we actually did a few weeks back. Actually, probably more like a month back now. It's been a little while now. That took us like 2.5 to 3 hours. Yeah, I enjoy that the ring effects are visible as well. It's pretty cool. Although one thing that was nice about, I think the SNES version in particular, is your suit would change color, I think, depending on the ring that you were using. So I think, like, you would turn green if you were using, like, the shield ring, and I think you would turn gold if you were using the power ring. And I don't remember if other versions of the game did that back in the day. But yeah, I like in this version how you glow and stuff like that. It makes a sound effect, and you see like those swords, you know, come across you. It's pretty cool. Yeah, there's a shield, timer, that basically tells you exactly what it's doing. So the timer actually it sort of slows things down, I believe. I think that's what happens. Not something I ever use. It's not really necessary for me. It's much more closer to Metroid than Castlevania. Yeah, I don't know about that. I think it's probably about as close to Metroid as it is to Castlevania. It's not really like any of those games. It doesn't have a major exploration aspect. Like, yeah, you've got to go to different areas, but the areas are pretty linear for the most part. Like, yeah, they're pretty straightforward. They might have like a split path, but one end will always lead you to a dead end, and then the other will take you to where you need to go. So not much Metroid or Castlevania here. Zelda 2 must have been pressed Falcom back in '89. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. Okay, so we only have 4,500 gold. We can't really buy anything at the shop. I wanted to get the copper sword. I think it's copper. By the way, an item we got allows this lady to make us brochure serum, which when we use it, it'll give us our ring energy back, or part of the ring. Actually, I think it might give us all of it back. Let's go ahead and use that, and we can go ahead and get ourselves some brochure serum. What's cool about buying items in this game is you can buy 3 of them. So I just buy 3 of them. Max them out. Now one that's 50,000 gold, I believe that's the fairy necklace. But we're not going to buy that in this playthrough. I think we're going to be fine without it. Ys III is just a part of Castlevania 2. Change my mind. The earth is flat. Change my mind. So we're just gonna walk around the town and talk to people. And try to trigger everything that we can. This should open up, I think, Valestein Castle. In this version, it's called Ballenstein or Ballestein. It's interesting to see some of the naming differences. Yeah, so while other games in the genre were technically more complex than the Ys games, what's great about the Ys games is their simplicity. They're just fun to pick up and play. They don't require like a huge commitment, you know? They're not very confusing. The aesthetics are usually pretty nice, the music especially. And I think that's where Ys has always excelled. They've been relatively simplistic games that are just a lot of fun to play. What? Alright, one more time. V and B get mixed up in Japanese as much as L and R. Okay, interesting, Mambo. Alright, so I think our next area has probably opened up. We'll go through here just in case. Yeah, this area is pretty much useless except for the very beginning of the game. Oh, no, I think we're gonna go to the mountain, actually. Yeah. I'm getting things backwards here. Yeah, I hope you guys have been enjoying the playthrough so far.
かなり
From here on out, it's a pretty straight shot, but this is actually a really good place to grind out. So generally what happens when I play this, if I'm not maxed out by the time I get here, I max out here. Which we might end up doing. We might actually spend some time here just to do that. Because from Ballenstein Castle and on, enemies start doing a lot of damage, so it's probably best that I stay relatively leveled up. I don't even bother with the birds in this one. They're a little cumbersome to deal with. Alright. Yeah, so I mean, these guys are doing a lot of damage. I might as well grind out here. And they're taking a lot of hits, too, to kill. This is the one point in the game where my combo system has actually come in handy. These little bugs are actually worth a lot. Oops. Rock to the face. I'm probably going to end up having to use the herb as well. Okay. Rock to the face sounds like an AC/DC song. For all I know, they probably have a song called that. There we go, level up. This would probably take less time if I had the upgraded sword, but I don't. Normally I buy it. It's one of the reasons grinding out can be good, but I didn't. So, yay. Now we're gonna go ahead and grind out here too. I'm getting the experience pretty quickly. Like, each of these guys are worth, I think, at least 100. Actually, you know, it's probably just faster for me to leave this screen, come back in. Yeah, that's definitely the better way to do it. 33929. Oh yeah, we're getting like 600 each, so it's... Just do it this way. I remember in the... I think it's the Super Nintendo one. It's either the Super Nintendo one or it's the Genesis one, where you can come in here and these insect things will just hover over your head, drop into little baby insects. And they'll just do it infinitely. Whereas in this version, notice that they stop and then they fly down. But in one of the 16-bit versions, you can just sit there and just, you know, just literally hold down the button and Adol will constantly attack. And your experience will just fly up. And not even just experience. If you want to buy the fairy bracelet, that is how you do it. Your goal just goes like 100, 200, 300, 400. It's just like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you get gold so quickly from doing that. There are funny little exploits in some games like these. There we go, level up. And we're just gonna do that again. Yeah, so the argument that Castlevania isn't really Castlevania with the exploration is just kind of invalid. Because whether you don't like it or not almost doesn't even matter, because lots of other people did. And the fact is, the series basically splintered into two different types of Castlevania, and they're both fantastic types of Castlevania. The Metroid type absolutely features exploration, but it also has the traditional awesome action that the series is known for. And I think that's what makes them so appealing. Metroid, honestly, the combat's not all that interesting. But in Castlevania, the Metroidvanias, the combat is I don't want to say deep, but it's very flexible. It's very there's a lot of different ways to play the game. Especially if you're talking Symphony of the Night, or you're talking Area of Sorrow, or Order of Ecclesia, or really any of the DS games. They're fantastic, and if you don't like them, you are missing out. You're missing out. So they're excellent games. We're going to eventually cover all of them. But games like Order of Ecclesia in particular, they've got some tough bosses in there too, so they get the challenge down. It's good stuff. Yeah, the only true Castlevanias are the ones where you have no mid-air movement. No mid-air control. I love both styles. I don't argue that one style is Castlevania and one style is not. It is true that one style is what most understood Castlevania to be at one point in time, but there were always deviations. Castlevania 2, as it's been said, was the first big deviation. Although you could argue that the original Vampire Killer on MSX was, well, quite different from the linear Vanias that we know and love. Does anyone, maybe Mambo knows this, was the Vampire Killer on MSX, did that predate the Famicom version? I feel like it did, but I don't know for sure. Clearly, See Where Ghouls and Ghosts is best Castlevania. I like the way you think, Encrypted Printer. Yeah, I mean, I'm not arguing. I'm just saying, get used to it. Like, there's no point in arguing it. You know, it just is what it is. It's not like the series is new. And it's not like Symphony of the Night is exactly new, or Metroidvania is new. I mean, it's... I mean, you want to talk about Symphony of the Night in particular, it's 22 years old! God, why am I so old? You know, like... And then, man, don't even be started on the PS2 or N64 and up games. Like, where do they fit in? Really, Castlevania is splintered into like 3 different types. You know, you've got the traditional linear Vania, then you got the Metroidvania, and then you got the WTF Vania with N64 Castlevanias and on up. PS2 Castlevanias, the Lords of Shadow series. Yeah, I kind of like that. You categorize, the Castlevania games by linear, Metroid, or WTF. I like that. What do you guys think? I mean, I do think that it is best to keep a franchise of a specific style. I've always felt that if you really want to change the gameplay, make a new series. Don't change, you know, an established franchise. Like, I really don't want Mega Man to become an RPG, and it did. You know, you know, things like that. But with Castlevania, I mean, it's been splintered for so long, it's just... I just look at it as there being multiple types of Castlevania, and the good thing about Castlevania is, especially when it comes to the Metroidvania, is that it's a great style. I'm glad it happened. I'm not as happy that they focused on it almost 100% after Circle of the Moon. Because remember, when Circle of the Moon came out, later that year, Castlevania Chronicles came out in North America, which was the PS1 port of X68000 Castlevania. And it wouldn't be until 2007, I believe. I believe it's 2007 when we'd get the Dracula X Chronicles on PSP, where we get the Run of Blood remake. And then that was pretty much it. I don't think there's really been anything else since when it comes to linear Castlevania. And at the time, with Dracula X Chronicles, they were still focusing primarily on the Metroidvanias when it came to handhelds. But, you know, it is what it is. They're fantastic games, though. Oh, I know there was a Mega Man RPG. That was the point, Mambo. There were a lot of Mega Man RPGs. The, Mega Man Battle Network games, and then you had the, Mega Man X Command Mission, which I actually watched a, sort of a review on that a couple months back, and I just facepalmed at how bad it looked. It did not look like a good game. Castleroid. It puts the mantle back on Castlevania. And you're right, it does sound a bit medical. I don't think we got anything else, so let's double check. Oh, we did. I should probably equip that. Yeah, so now I have pretty much zero reason to kill enemies. But that's not entirely true. Like I said, I can still try to earn gold. But I don't really care about that at this point. I mean, the only thing I really would want is the fairy necklace, but I don't really need it. And actually, yeah, I think you actually find one in the final place, which is funny. Like, you don't even need to buy it. I think that's how it works. All right, let's go ahead and equip that. I don't even care about following this guy's pattern. Yeah, we were overpowered there. Oh, the Mega Man... Oh, the Mega Man Star Force. I completely forgot about that. Yeah, no, there are actually quite a few Mega Man RPGs, yeah. They're mostly handheld, though. I mean, I heard the early Battle Network games were pretty good. I don't know if that's actually true, because I've never played them. But I've heard good things about them, at least. So... But I pretty much had zero interest in them. I mean, my interest in RPGs was pretty much non-existent by that point anyway. Except for, like, some of the old RPGs I grew up with. And so taking a franchise I've been playing since I was a kid and then turning it into an RPG was not something I really wanted to get behind. But I mean, even so, we talk about Castlevania, you know, changing styles. Look at, you know, Mega Man Legends. That was definitely something I had no interest in either. But I don't sort of berate it for existing because apparently it's also a great series. And then there was the Tron Bond spin-off. Although I think the Tron Bond spin-off was more of its own thing. I'll have to play those eventually. I think I'll probably end up doing probably the N64 Mega Man 64, which is basically Mega Man Legends. Miku says Battle Network 3 is good. Actually playing the game, who needs to do that? Let's just mash buttons. Let's just mash buttons and win. Ooh, yo, God, yeah. How about them Sonic games? You look at Sonic and, man, it makes Castlevania look like it's perfection.
またさあ入り口
I don't think Metroidvania sounds pretentious, though. It's a label that makes sense. I mean, I think the big reason they put the Metroid label in front of Vania, for Symphony of the Night in particular, is, I mean, just look at the map. Like, it's Super Metroid. It's so similar. You know, like... And I don't see that as a bad thing. Super Metroid, to me, in my opinion, is one of the greatest games ever made. Might not be a game I replay regularly, but it is just extremely well put together. Still holds up great. Very atmospheric. Flow as well. And to take influence from that, I have no issue with that. So, but you say Metroidvania, and then people are like, oh, I get it. You know, you say Action Explorer, like that can mean a whole lot of different things. Ys III here could be an Action Explorer. I don't know. Again, I think it's kind of a moot conversation in 2019. The label is here, and I don't think it's going anywhere. Hey, Josh Edwards, what's going on? Yeah, oh man, the Sonic series, that's a depressing topic I don't even want to go into. I really don't. Man. And what's funny is like this sad music here. It gets the boot in this version. Wait, sorry, I'm thinking of a later part. It's after you do the Ballastine Castle, you come back and the whole town is supposed to be like sad, and but this cheery music kicks in instead. Of course, it's not this part, but a later part. Yeah, no, I don't think the Metroidvania label is pretentious at all. It's there because it makes sense. And there's no reason to retire it, because it makes sense. Yeah, that's too depressing. Let's talk Dreamcast. Hey, how about that time Sega pulled the plug on the Dreamcast early, and it died an early death? Oh, we were supposed to talk happy thoughts. Sorry. I forgot. I got 21,000 gold. I should probably buy some stuff that I don't need. I actually don't need that sword now because we've gotten a better one. And I don't think I need... crap. I don't think I need any of this, actually. We're gonna get it anyway, just because. He goes, Austin, why? Oh no, that was good. I actually could use that. Cool. Actually, I probably could have used the shield as well, now that I think about it. Yeah, what a stream. Thanks for hanging out, guys. I appreciate it. We're having some fun conversation tonight. No, the Dreamcast is excellent. I just, as someone that bought it on day one back in the day and stuck with it until well after its demise, it was really depressing when, and shocking when news came that Sega was pulling out. I didn't see it coming. You know, I thought they were doing fine, but apparently not. Because at that time, you can go to like Best Buy and they had rows of Dreamcast games. Like they had a huge section dedicated to it. Same with all the other game stores. It's not like the Dreamcast didn't have a presence out in retail. It did. And So when you went and saw it out in the retail setting, you thought, oh, it's doing great, you know. Consoles weren't selling well enough. They were selling, but they weren't selling well enough. Sega looked at the numbers and was like, yeah, it's, you know, it's sink or swim. We weren't able to swim, so... Well, no, that didn't make any sense. Disregard my analogy. But basically, Sega was like, yeah, we can't keep up with this, otherwise we'll tank as a company. So, do we tank as a company or get out of hardware and still survive? And that's what they did. Mambo, you need more Dreamcast games, man. It's a great system. It really is. It's the last system with constant arcade conversions, where like the cheesy, simple arcade port was normal. PlayStation 2 had a few of them, but not a lot. Not a lot at all, actually. Outside, you know, its fighting games and a couple shmups later on in its life. Yeah, so by the way, this place kind of sucks because most of these enemies do multiple hits. And they take multiple hits. And you've got traps that do a lot of damage. And very few means to get your health back. So I've got my herb, I've got a healing ring. And so we're just going to hopefully do well enough here. And one thing I'm not really a fan of with enemies in this game is that in a lot of cases it's difficult. Really, I smacked right into that. That happened the last time I got here as well. Like, you can walk straight under most of them, but then one of them I just smack into for some reason. It makes no sense. Alright, so what I'm going to do is actually switch over to my healing ring that I have now. Yeah, there's not going to be a Dreamcast 2. If there is a Dreamcast 2, it's not going to be the system that you would want. And so for it to be named Dreamcast 2 is just absolutely, utterly ridiculous. It is not 1999. It is 2019, specifically, as of doing this stream. You can't even jump over them. It's crazy. Yeah, Mambo, if you have an original copy of that, yeah, be glad you did. Be glad you do, because... Yeah, that one's shut up. Very, very late release in North America. Capcom was awesome back then with the Dreamcast. Dude, all those games were like 20 or 30 bucks when they came out, too. Mars Matrix, Gigawing 2, Project Justice, Cannon Spike, Heavy Metal, Geomatrix, so that's not one people talk about very frequently. Capcom's got so many games on the Dreamcast, it's great. Something I didn't mention earlier is that every time you kill an enemy, you do get 1 ring point back. So what I'll do in this place is I'll equip the healing ring, and as long as I don't take damage, I'll constantly get a little bit of health back. And there's the best shield in the game. We'll end up getting the best armor and the best sword in the next area. Capcom should have ported the AVP arcade game when they had the chance. Yeah, well, the problem with things like that is it's not always so cut and dry. They might not have had the rights for a console port. And console port could be really expensive. They might not have actually even had the capability of doing a console port because other developers and publishers had the Aliens or Predator license at the time. You know, who needs actually playing the game when you can just tank? You know, the last time I played this, I tried to actually, like, learn the boss patterns and dodge them, but now I'm just like, why do I even care? I'm gonna get my health back. Yeah, so as much as I'd like to say, you know, Capcom, you should have ported the game back in the day, I know that there are lots of other factors at play when it comes to doing things like that, so... Yeah, it's a shame we never got AVP Arcade in the home back in the day. But, you know, we never got Konami's Aliens game on the home systems either. Which is a big shame because I like that arcade game a lot. Same with their X-Men arcade game back in the day. There were actually a lot of arcade games that never got ported to home systems, or at least not home consoles, especially in North America. And it was probably because of things like licensing. Like, Konami had the X-Men license for the arcade, but someone else had the X-Men license for home. In most cases, these licenses aren't dished out to multiple companies at a time. It's like, you get the license, usually there's some kind of exclusivity agreement when it comes to video games and whatnot, at least for a short period of time. It gets confusing. It's complex. What about nowadays? What's their excuse now? They don't have the license. That's a perfectly valid excuse. Or maybe they feel like it's not worth getting the license, because in this day and age, they won't be able to charge 60 bucks for it like they could back in the day. You know? And, you know, they'll have to charge 10 or 15 for it as a digital download, most likely. Only a handful of people will buy it. And so was it worth getting the license for it? Probably not. These companies aren't going to do things just because they feel like it to not make a profit on it. As much as we would like to think that companies are in it for us, and they want to make us feel warm and fuzzy all the time, they're in it to make money. And if they can't make money, or not a decent amount of money, or a certain amount of money, a certain threshold, they're going to determine it's not worth their effort because they only have so many resources. Honestly, in this day and age, it doesn't matter. MAME it. Use arcade emulation. You don't need a conversion at this point in time. There's so many other ways to play it. You don't have to have one on home console. Let's go ahead and use that. Get some of our juice back. Ow. Yeah, I'm seriously just tanking this guy. Man, it's like I don't even have to do much. I'm really curious how hard mode changes this. Bosses probably do a lot more damage. I was expecting him to jump. Most of all of you were robbed of the E-Series on computers. Yeah, because those computers weren't released in North America. And I'm pretty sure there wasn't an MS-DOS version of any of the old East games. Which is actually kind of a shame. I mean, every region has gotten robbed at one point in time or another. You know, no region is really special in that regard. So sometimes it's good to focus on what you did actually get and be thankful that you got what you actually got. And be glad that importing is a thing. You're doing something wrong then, Epic Jason. If you can freaking mod Mugen for Mortal Kombat crap, you can get MAME working. Seriously, that's a terrible excuse. Get someone else to do it for you. I'm not buying that excuse. That's my retort to your response. You are doing something wrong. And also, don't feel like you're entitled to get a port of Alien vs. Predator Arcade, because you're not. I'm not directing this specifically at you, but anyone that's listening and thinks the same way. Welcome to reality! It's a grand thing. Sometimes. No, not really. I hate reality. Depends on what you mean by older games. Yeah, see, that's the thing, Barefoot Golem, in regards to that, is to some people nowadays, hey, the first two Warcraft games were great. Those are RTS classics. And why am I tanking here? So, the way video games are consumed these days by the average person has changed. Like, the video game market isn't as small as it was when, say, we were growing up. And what I guess the average individual wants these days... And by the way, I'm not the average individual. Most of you guys out there probably aren't the average individual when it comes to video game players. A lot of you guys have been playing since you were kids. This has been a life staple for you. You're not bro Joe, Jim, Chad. That's a good one. You know, playing the random Uncharted once a year. Or Madden. Did I save it, by the way? I feel like I didn't save it, and we're gonna have to go do a bunch of that again. I don't even know where I'm going with this. The point is, like, a lot of people, they want more of, like, a cinematic experience. And that's what a lot of these modern games give them. And I don't know, I don't quite understand why they enjoy it as much as they do. But that's what a lot of people like. And if that's what a lot of people like, then companies are gonna cater to that. Which is why games have moved away from... Hell, just look at this right here. It's more about that experience. Will they play it again? They might not. We gotta do this whole thing over again. It's okay. Gives me more time to ramble about stupid things. Those titles, Epic Jason, are available to everyone. Oh, man! Man. Whew. Had something in my lodged in my throat there. No, I mean, people want those. I want to say almost like cinematic experiences. You know, characters are constantly talking under their breath and, you know, force-feeding the story to them. Can't say I'm a huge fan of that, honestly. Like, I actually really don't want my characters talking while I play. It gets kind of annoying. I like silent protagonists, honestly, because then I can sort of place words into the protagonist's head. I mean, I like games too where characters do actually talk, but when I'm like exploring around and some dude's mumbling about, you know, man, how jumping over this thing sucks. It reminds me of my my third ex-wife and how that whole relationship sucked, and you know, that eventually led into, you know, this whole crappy situation I'm in right now, robbing tombs in some third world country. What the hell am I doing with my life? And as the action happens, again, Epic Jason, it's not your PC, it's you doing something wrong. I mean, any computer in the last 20 years could run an emulated version of AVP. This is not anything new. The Capcom PS2 hardware is, we're talking like, you know, early to mid-90s arcade hardware that's been emulated for a very, very long time. You know what I should check? I think my Pandora's Box arcade board actually has AVP on it. I need to check. And that's an option too. Go buy a Pandora's Box all-in-one, plug it up to your HDTV, bam, Alien vs. Predator. And lots of other good ones. Cadillacs vs. Dinosaurs. Captain Commando. That's not CPS2, but... Constant Duke Nukem one-liners, hey? We're playing this game called Ys III. It kicks ass and chews bubblegum. Except I don't think bubblegum exists at this point in time in the game's history, so we'll pretend like we're chewing something else. How about a harb? Whee! I don't even know why I'm using this ring. I should probably save it. Yeah, so you can actually bait this guy into... Ew, jackass. I was gonna say, you bait this guy into attacking down, but sometimes he'll sweep you, and I totally forgot about that. It's like, that's a dick move. Ah, haha. It would be nice if it could be available, but you have to understand how the industry works, Epic Jason. You can't just say, it should be available. It doesn't work like that. Like, yes, it would be nice if it was available, but in some cases, it can't be. Like, actually, it cannot be. And the way it can be, I just said can't be. Retail, it can't be available. Sometimes. Maybe it could be eventually. There's a lot that goes into bringing these games to the home console. It's not just someone saying, hey, I'm gonna make a port of this old arcade game. There are licenses that developers and publishers have to acquire, and it's... In this day and age, I assume the whole licensing thing has gotten way worse. It's just... Which is why I don't like having these conversations, because, like, you've got to understand what all the publishers and whatnot have to go through to get these games to you. And what risks are involved, and what things are required of them to do it legally. That's why emulation's great, because if it never happens, you can still get it! Yay! I'm sounding like a broken record. I need a broken record sound effect that I can trigger. That would be great. Yeah, I definitely need that. The Super Retrocade is good for arcade games, but does it have Alien vs. Predator? Hmm? So... Yeah. So, while AVP is obviously near and dear to some of you out there, I felt the exact same way of Simpsons Arcade and X-Men Arcade back in the day. Like, they're games that, in my opinion, should have had home console ports, but I didn't understand what publishers had to go through to get games to us. I didn't even know about licensing when I was a kid. I just assumed, like, wow, Konami's really stupid for not having this game on Super Nintendo or whatever. Not realizing there was a lot more behind the scenes that goes on. But, you know what? Guess what? We actually got them in, like, oh man, when did that happen? We got them in, like, 2010 or something like that. Granted, guess what? They were eventually pulled because of licensing issues. Because the license is temporary. It's never, in most cases, it's never a permanent license. And then once someone else gets the license, well, your product has to be pulled from digital store shelves, and it's really crappy. So, I mean, I wouldn't say we'll never get AVP ported to a home console, but I mean, especially with how big like the Aliens franchise is, I think it's relatively unlikely. But never say never; it could eventually happen. I don't think it will. I'm sure Fox would much rather license Alien to some big budget AAA, you know, publisher slash developer where they can make some real money off of it instead of licensing it out to, say, Capcom so they can make pocket change for a simple arcade conversion. It sucks, but that's how the industry operates. Yeah. I think what we're going to do sometimes, we're going to do a Xbox 360 Sega game stream. Let's save it this time. How about that? Let's not have to do this whole castle again. It's a good question, Joseph. I don't know, man. Yeah, so basically what I was saying is, I actually have some of those games on Xbox 360 that were delisted. So we can actually do a stream that has Afterburner Climax in it. We can do a stream that has Outrun Live Arcade. I always forget the actual name of it. It's something like that. So, yeah, that could be fun. I've also got Sonic the Fighters. I've got Fighting Vipers, Virtua Fighter 2, Daytona USA. What else do I have? I've got some other stuff. It'd be a cool stream. I also plan on doing a stream of Sega games on PC. And like old PC, like Windows 95, 98 era. So a bunch of arcade stuff there as well, like House of the Dead, Virtua Cop 2, Panzer Dragoon. Probably none of the Sonics, because they display in like really small screen resolutions. Yeah, I mean, you can get modded consoles, Epic Jason, but dude, if your computer can watch YouTube, it can run MAME. Like I said, you are doing something wrong. And if you would like to figure out how to do it right, you can if you put the effort in, or you talk to someone that knows how to do it. If you can watch YouTube, your computer can run and emulate 20-year-old arcade games! I don't want to pull the I know how to use computers card, but I'm getting so close! And other people have already done that. Seriously though, yes, there are other options. I'm glad you know of modded Xboxes. Although, you know, that's the sort of thing where you'd... Sounds like you'd probably want to buy one that's already pre-configured for you. Because it's a lot more complex to set that up than it is to set up MAME on PC. But it's you know, original Xbox, I'm not sure if that's the best way to do it now, though, because, you know, you really want, well, I don't know, with those HDMI cables, you might be able to, you might be able to get a display on a modern display, but, I mean, ideally, you'd use an original Xbox on an old CRT. Yeah, I actually modded my Xbox in 2009, and I used it a lot for, like, the first, probably the first year I had it modded. And then I never used it again. As a modded console. I mean, I mainly just played regular games. Because it became redundant eventually, you know. You know, if you don't have to pay much to get one, it's worth it. Yeah, sorry, Jason. It's false. You're wrong. What operating system are you running? Also, what's your, what's the hardware in your computer? What's your processor? Do you know how much memory you have? What kind of graphics processor do you have? Yeah, what's actually interesting though, Carlos, about that regarding Daytona is I think you can actually still buy it on Xbox 360. Maybe PS3 as well? Wait. Okay, never mind. Dude, I'm getting so distracted with these conversations that I keep dying and doing the same thing over and over again. Modded PS1. You mean download the ISOs? Yeah, I mean, you can play them on a PC with an emulator. Absolutely. Dude, these guys are doing so much damage, too. What have I got here? I should probably equip these. What a concept. I remember I had equipped the shield, and then I died, but my save was before I equipped the shield. Hey, no reason. How's it going, man? That doesn't tell me anything, Epic Jason. Like, I was asking what the actual hardware was in your computer, not whether it was a Dell. Like, do you know what kind of graphics processor you have? Do you know what kind of RAM you have? How much of it you have? That sort of thing. Do you know what the actual CPU is inside your computer? That's really important. But if you're on Windows right now, which I assume you are, and you're watching YouTube, your computer can run MAME. My parents' 2003 Pentium 4 computer with Windows XP still running on it can run MAME. really well, actually. It's kind of glorious. By the way, I hate these guys right here because they hit me and then knock me off. Did I save it? I don't think I did. How about we save it? I'm doing alright, no reason. Hey man, I wanted to tell you, I beat Combat Shock today on Twitch. It's pretty good. Wasn't the best, but I enjoyed it. Yeah, no, a Raspberry Pi will run AVP just fine. Although, I don't know how a Raspberry Pi compares to, say, an original Xbox. But the good thing about a Raspberry Pi is I believe it does native HDMI. So the picture will look a lot nicer on a modern display. And you can get packages that have everything pretty much pre-configured for you when it comes to the Raspberry Pi. Actually, I need to fall down, so... okay, so we just got the last ring, which will basically make us invincible when we use it. This is going to be our sword. Oh yeah, no, I'm not talking PS4, Carlos, because I don't think Daytona was released on PS4. You can get it on Xbox One because it's a backwards compatible game. So it's Xbox 360 still, but it's backwards compatible on Xbox One. You don't, just because your computer can run Internet Explorer doesn't mean that mean I can run MAME. Yes, no. Again, Epic Jason, it can. Sorry, it's just the facts. I mean, it sounds like you haven't emulated much before on your PC. I mean, that's my guess anyway, based on what you've been saying. Oh, you saw the VOD. Nice, man. Cool. Awesome. So this part's a little weird. You bump your head on the ceiling that's not actually there quite yet. So I try to ride this up a couple times, ride this up and down a couple times. Because the jump here is actually pretty tight. If you miss it, you gotta... The enemies down on the floor respawn. It's pretty annoying. Oh yeah, no, Joseph, yeah, no, I have no doubt the Raspberry Pi can do AVP just fine. I mean, I've got arcade hardware that's basically a little emulation box, and it's running, like, we're talking like a 15 to 19-year-old emulator on it and it's really weak hardware, weaker than a Raspberry Pi, and it still runs that era of Capcom hardware perfectly. Yeah, exactly, Mambo. Yeah, but just saying could not work, Epic Jason, does nothing for the conversation. We have no idea what issue you ran into. Just saying does not work does not mean it can't work. It could mean you are doing something wrong. And most likely means you are doing something wrong, especially when it comes to MAME, because that is the nature of MAME. I will say MAME is not the easiest thing to get working, but if you end up downloading, say, oh, I don't know, I don't want to say, like, go torrent it, but if you download a full complete package that's pre-configured, you shouldn't have to do anything. All the ROMs should be compatible and up to date, but a lot of people don't set it up like that. Like myself personally, back in the day, I just downloaded whatever version of MAME I found and then a bunch of ROMs. But ROMs have to be... You know, certain ROMs only work with certain versions of MAME. And so that means you have to either get an updated set of ROMs or an older set of ROMs. And it gets complex. So, Garland is here. It gets confusing. There you go, Crestline. So, If anything good has come of this conversation, it's that Crestline wants to do some more MAME, and that is a good thing. So this actually opens up the last area of the game. The last area of the game is actually the worst area of the game. The final boss itself actually is pretty easy compared to other Ys 3 versions, but the last area itself is probably the worst that I've played. Yeah, I mean, there's a difference between having trouble getting it to work, not wanting to put the time into it to getting it to work. But you do not need a powerful PC for MAME. Again, a toaster could run MAME in this day and age. Remember, it's 2019, it's not 2000. And even in 2000, most computers could still run MAME. Soul Bad Girl. Where's Soul Bad Guy? Hey, hey, Retro Simon. Yeah, complete MAME sets get really huge because a lot of later arcade games started using hard drives. So those hard drive images, they get pretty large. Yeah, so this is the part where in other versions, the music would turn to the sad music in the whole town. And so the whole feeling of, you know, the whole depressed feeling you're supposed to get here is just deflated completely. Alright, we're gonna refill our ring energy. We're gonna make sure we've got everything here. Pretty sure I do. Alright, we don't need that. Oops. Since we're not gonna get the fairy necklace. Alright. Oh, Raymond! No, Raymond! Don't go! See ya, Raymond. Take care, man. The archive shouldn't take that long to process. It'll be up by tomorrow, for anyone curious. Alright, see ya, Epic Jason. Taito wanted you to have something different. Yeah. Hey, Sanewell. It's been a while, man. How are you doing? Any suggestions for a good Commodore Amiga emulator? I do not. It's not my expertise. The only Amiga emulator I ever used was actually on an original Xbox. And it was a little confusing to get up and running, but I'm sure there are really good PC emulators for Amiga. I would probably just Google Amiga emulator, and you'll probably find some emulation site that has, you know, the emulators. And you'll probably have to do more research, unless other people in chat know. If anyone in chat knows, feel free to chime in. Alright, see ya, Jose. Take care, dude. Looks like this is the time where everyone's heading out and going to bed. It is late. It's 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Which means it's 11 on the West Coast right now. Tekken 4 or Tekken 5? I don't see why not, Crestline. I mean, you can emulate PS2 on PC easily nowadays. If you... That requires kind of like more of a modern machine to do what, like perfectly. Like, I could probably emulate PS2 perfectly on my current Ryzen system, but I couldn't do it perfectly in my old AMD Phenom 2 system. I could do it well, but not perfectly, you know? Like, no frame rate issues, things like that, so... Yeah, I mean, Tekken 4 and 5 are basically on similar hardware as the PS2, from what I understand. Hey, JD. This isn't the only Ys III stream ever. I mean, I've done 4 others, so I'm gonna talk to this guy one more time. I just want to make sure that everything's good. I think everything's good because I talked to the mayor, but yeah. Yeah, Mambo, and if you do PS2 emulation on that laptop, it probably runs at like 5 frames a second, I'm guessing. Or it just runs poorly. Alright, so this is our final area of the game. Hey, thank you, Jose. Thank you, sir, for your super chat. Just because. Alright, we're gonna open this up. And then we're gonna switch to... I forgot what it was called. Doesn't really matter. It's just an item. That's how I look at it. Let's actually get rid of that. I don't want to use that. I want to save my ring energy for the final boss. So we're gonna equip this. This is gonna light up our way. Sort of, kind of. Now we're gonna save it. Hey, TPJ, thank you for the super chat again. Thank you. Yeah, so I mean, like I said, TP, we've done Ys III 4 other times on this channel. Oh, that's right, I have to use it. So these guys, these big guys, I just want to jump over. And honestly, all these skeletons, I'm just going to jump over too. I don't even care. Now, getting your way through this area is super confusing to me. I got lost in here like crazy the last time I played this. So, what I want to do is work my way down. There's a treasure chest we can get that will have, I think the fairy necklace, actually. So it's like, you don't actually need to buy the fairy necklace. But actually finding my way to it is, again, super confusing. Because everything looks the same in this area. So we're going to probably be wandering around for a while, aimlessly. Like, I feel like I found the correct exit when I stream this on Twitch, just completely by luck, basically. Yeah, and some of the, like, these big enemies with these lances, they're just obnoxious. They're just super obnoxious. I'm gonna laugh if this is, like, the correct exit already. Oh my god. Okay, whatever. I'll take it. Oh, man. Okay. Alright, so we basically get to fight this previous boss again. But he's a little more challenging now. Oh yeah, no, Castlevania is one of my favorite game series, TP. So, yeah, I do a lot of Castlevania in this channel. We actually did some last weekend. We did a Super Castlevania ROM hack. So what's kind of cool about this guy is you can actually walk behind him. And I highly recommend doing that. And this is where your up slash actually really comes in handy. Because it does multiple hits at once, it seems. Alright, let me go ahead and equip that. I don't want to waste my herb. I want to save it for the final boss. This game needs a slide. I need to be able to slide on the ground. So that's the attack from the old games, which is pretty cool. Yeah, so the lightning attack in this is handled differently than it is in the old games as well. Like, lightning actually comes down from the sky in this one, or the ceiling. In the old games, it comes from his helmet, I believe. It actually looks cooler in the old games. It's not as generic. No reason I am. Yeah, I'm gonna go on Twitch probably right after I do YouTube. So that'll probably be within the half hour, next half hour. But we've only got a couple more minutes. This is gonna take us right to the final boss. And then it's the ending. Now the ending, unfortunately, it's gonna glitch out because it's gonna constantly switch between 480i and 240p. So we've got to watch. Oh, it actually gave me all my health back. Seeing the console versions of this game, oh, not console, this is a console. In the old console versions of the game from back in the day, when you would beat that guy, he wouldn't give you your health back. So that's actually really good. I got my health back. Yeah, no, I don't think it's fair to compare it to Oath, because the PS2 versions, from what I understand, from what I can see, they look like they were meant to be relatively faithful recreations. They're not really remakes. It's more like a recreation, or I don't like using the term remaster for something like this because, you know, they had to redo all the assets. It's not like they just ported the old games. But they are still the same games, you know? The exact same progression, the exact same story, exact same music. Just updated. Whereas Oath and Felghana was basically like, yeah, the story progressed similarly, and you went to the same areas, but man, the whole game was totally different. Top-down gameplay versus side-scrolling. The areas were a lot more complex. The combat was totally different. It was great. Like, it's not unreasonable to, you know, compare even the old ones to Felghana, because they did just a phenomenal job with it, but from what I can tell, this was a remake of the original game, and it was meant to be true to the original game. Whereas Felghana was more like, you know, we're gonna make it more like other Ys games, not the original Ys III. Ys III HD remix. Alright, so this guy will basically bounce down like that. It's a good time for a combo. And then he'll do this attack. So you can actually dodge back and forth, kind of like this. It is a little weird, though, sometimes. Nice, got him. Oops. Let's go ahead and use our herb. Not doing very good here as far as not taking hits, but it's not like I practice this guy, like, consistently or like crazy. Oh my god, seriously? Yeah, one of the issues with this boss, though, is he'll follow you all the way to the other side of the screen. So you really got to push him over if you want to attack his other arm. Wow, that was fast. Alright, so now the guy changes forms. And you'll have to eventually attack his middle part. It'll open up. And how that happens is kind of confusing to me. It seems like it's just like a time thing. Yeah, we're just going to whack that over and over. I mean, I kind of like what they've done with this final boss. Like, he's not as overbearing as he is in the original games. God, especially the Genesis and Super Nintendo ones, man, he is, he can be kind of brutal. Oh, why did I do that? Dude, I am not paying attention at all. Okay, we're gonna use the health ring. Yeah, so I ended up using one of my Brosha serums, which is supposed to give me my ring energy back, but I already had maximum ring energy. I'm really out of it today, by the way. I think the fact that I had to wake up early to do this pinball thing and getting way less sleep than I normally do before my YouTube stream has really kind of like screwed with my head. Like, I only got a couple hours of sleep. Normally I get at least 6 hours of sleep before doing this YouTube stream. I'll basically go to bed at my normal time, and then I'll sleep until, you know, 7:30, and then I'll wake up, I'll make some food, I'll go get some food, you know, I'll prep the stream, and I'll start the stream. So basically, when I usually do these YouTube streams, you guys are seeing me, like, right as I've woken up. But tonight, that's not the case. You guys are seeing me, like, 6 or 7 hours after I've woken up, and I was sleep-deprived already, on top of that. So one thing I can try to do, actually, is, that's the amulet. The amulet will do damage to anything on screen. And the reason I don't really use the amulet on this guy is that it just, he's not really that hard. So I actually kind of forget to use it in this version. But I definitely like using it, especially in the Genesis version of the game. Oh, it sucked, liberal arts guy. Yeah, it was bad. I was in a really bad mood, and I got angry because I was tired, and I was actually hangry at the same time. I was hungry and angry, and I wasn't having fun. You know, the usual stuff when I go to pinball tournaments these days. I mean, at least I got out. I socialized with some people, and that was like the point. But yeah, I had one. It was a 3-strike tournament, and I had one game where the game just tilted on me randomly out of nowhere for no reason, and I just shut the game off in the middle of the competition, and I just forfeited to the guy. I was like, "This is BS. This is stupid. I'm not having fun. I'm out of here." It's not like it's a big tournament. It's just like a fun thing. It's only like a $6 entry. I think you win a translate, you know, and a tiny bit of cash. So it's more or less for fun and for socializing, but still I took it somewhat seriously and got angry, and you know, I haven't played competitively in quite some time now. So this was the first time I had got out and saw most of these people and whatnot. The big thing I think is just my health and my being tired. It wasn't a good time to go out, I think, but you know, I'm still glad I did. Because like I said, I don't get out very often these days. I mean, I get out, but it's all for errands and stuff like that. I don't go out and hang out with people. It's because of my work schedule. My work schedule just kills any form of social life I can have, for the most part. So, basically, this is the end of the game. We just go back and we can talk to everyone. Not that it really matters at this point, because for one, it's all in Japanese, and I don't understand any of it. But we'll do it anyway. Then we'll exit, and then we will leave. Then we'll just skip the merchants. You've gotten my money already. But yeah, Retro Simon, yeah, no, I sound happy because, like, I'm just kind of glad to be back home and streaming. Because this is my routine. I always do this on Thursdays. I've been doing this on Thursdays for 2 years straight now. And then for, like, a half a year prior to that, I was doing every other Thursday. So, like, this is my routine, you know? And I'm also the kind of person where, like, when my routine's broken, like, I kind of don't know what to do with myself. I'm a creature of routine. For better or for worse. But it was also a good stream. There was a lot of chatter. We actually had more people watching than I would expect. So, not huge numbers, but more than my other Ys III streams, which was good. So, and like I said, lots of good chatter. Sorry if I rubbed a couple people the wrong way with certain, certain realities. But, I mean, hey! Oh well. You can't argue with reality. So, JD Crow says, don't forget to hit that like button, people. Yeah, and the thing is, Crestline, I went to this tournament with... I ate like a decent-sized salad before going in, yet I was super hungry the second I got there. I think it's because of all, like, the carbs I've been eating lately. Like, a salad just does not satiate me like it's supposed to. Yeah, so this is, like, it's constantly switching resolutions here, so it's gonna, like, glitch out the capture card as it does it, so don't mind that. Is there something else I would like to do to get myself out to meet people? I have no idea, Liberal Arts Guy. I really have no idea, man. I mean, you gotta remember, I'm gonna be 37 in April, and I'm kind of past the point where, like, I go to bars and, like, mingle with people, you know? It's just not really my thing these days. I might go to the bar to play some pinball, but I usually just keep to myself. So it's just like it's a solitary thing for the most part. Unless I go to an event like there was tonight, where, you know, like, a bunch of the people in the local pinball community are there. But yeah, I mean, I honestly don't even know what else I would do. I mean, I don't... Yeah, I don't know, man. So... Yeah, in my 20s, I would go out to bars a lot. I would play a lot of pool, and stuff like that. Of course, pinball has replaced that. I could try taking up something like billiards again, but... The other thing is money, so I can't be going out to places like that regularly, so I don't know. Yeah, Granch, it's every Thursday, man. I think I only missed a couple last year. Seriously, I think I might have only missed like 1 or 2 last year. I'm pretty consistent with it. You know, I might be a couple minutes late on some Thursdays, but for the most part, I've been... Yeah, I've taken it very seriously, you know. When Pinball League was on Thursdays, every Thursday, I dropped out of Pinball League because, you know, I wanted to take the stream more seriously, so... Sex is temporary. Super graphics is forever. Not my super graphics. I had to sell it. I regret that sale. I wish I still had it. I could buy another one, but the thing is, again, money. I just don't have it. Carlos, no, I just went by myself. No, Edon actually wasn't there. So yeah, but this thing I went to tonight, it's just a monthly thing, so... And I'm gonna try to go next time as well. Because again, it's good to get myself out of the house and actually talk to real people. Talk to real people outside my job. You know, obviously I have to talk to people at work, but... I don't really go out outside that. My brother and I, we don't really hang out too much. You know, once every couple months, if that. And usually in those cases, we stay in. Yeah, my Super Graphics was in pretty good shape, and the box and everything was there. All that was in good shape, so, you know, that's why it stings even more. It's not that I don't have a Super Graphics, because... I mean, the Super Graphics only has a handful of games, and really it only has one game I actually care about, which is Ghouls and Goes. But it was definitely, like, one of those, like, pride and joy pieces of my collection for a while. So if I still had it, what I would have done is I would get an SSD 3, which and I would have just popped it on the back of it, and then I would have had like the ultimate turbo setup. Now I have a PC Engine Duo. You know, it's RGB modded, and it's you know, it's had the caps replaced and whatnot. Actually, the laser was replaced too. So, Mambo's like real people. Yeah, I mean, yes, it can play everything, but it's also like, eh. When there's only one game I really care about. And I don't even need to care about it because I have access to like the arcade version of the game via various compilations, or my friend loaned me the actual arcade board, you know, a little while ago. So it's just one of those things that's like, eh. Yeah, I would love to have another one, but with the finances, it's just not going to happen anytime soon. Oh, man. PC Engine Duos are for the weak? Alright, man. Alright, you're bordering on trolling now. What are you going to say next? A regular TurboGrafx is for the poor? Oh, man. Hey, man, I've gone through all this collecting stuff, by the way. I've been there, done that. None of this is new to me. It hasn't been for a very long time. So if it's still new to some of you guys, and you have this allure to, you know, or like if you're just like, oh, man. If these obscure systems that don't have a lot of purpose have some kind of weird allure to you, that's cool. I get it. I've been there, done that. But, you know, reality also sets in after a while. He winks. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I would still love to have these things. I had a Vectrex, had to sell it. I had a CDI, had multiples actually, had to sell them. Had a PC Engine Super CD-ROM attachment, had to sell it. I actually used to have that attached to my Super Graphics. Wow, what a disaster that was. Man, Super Graphics is actually pretty big, and then you attach a Super CD-ROM 2 on the back. Whew! You got something that looks worse than a Jaguar CD combo. It's or a Sega Genesis Model 1 with Sega CD Model 2 and 32X on top with Game Genie. It looks that bad. Oh, man. Yeah, like I said, I would like to have... I mean, all those systems I named, I'd like to have them back, but I just can't. Not right now. But, I mean, I've still got a really solid hardware setup, you know? There are things I've got here that I'm fairly proud of. They're not super rare, but, I mean... I haven't dabbled in the obscure too much lately, I think. What have I got? I mean... Yeah, I'm actually looking at my stuff. None of it's really particularly rare or anything like that. But I've got all my bases covered, you know? I've got my Neo Geo CD, I've got my PC Engine Duo, I've got my Jaguar, I've got my 3DO. You know, I've got my new one, my Sega CD, 32X, Saturn. 2600, 7800... Actually, none of that's anywhere near as cool as I was thinking in my head, but, yeah, whatever. Got my Japanese PS2 here. Oh, that's right, I had an Apple Pippin. I sold that several years ago. I've had some curiosities like that. That, again, I wish I still had, but they never got any use, you know. But, yeah, no, it is what it is. Have I done a playthrough of Laments of Innocence? I have, yes. I will link it in the chat. Nice. The Vegas are nice. Is it an HD one or is it just an old, you know, standard definition? Oh, yeah, that's right. Actually, I used to own a PCFX, yeah. Never, streamed it, but yeah, no, I had it. I only had a couple games. I mainly wanted it for Zororigar, which is the, I think the one shoot 'em up in the system. By the way, guys, I have a Castlevania playlist. If you're ever curious, like, if I've done anything related to Castlevania, you should probably check out this playlist. So I'm going to link that as well in the stream. Supports 1080, but I don't think it's high def. Okay, so no, it does high def. It just requires a component. So it'll do up to I mean, HD's anything above 720p, I believe. Well, I mean, it could even be above 480p for all I know. No, I'm pretty sure it's 720 and up. But yeah, no, it'll do 1080i or 720p with component cables. Yeah, 1080i over component. I don't... unless you're in a different region. You know, like if you're over in Europe or something where it's like SCART. Yeah, no, if you're in the United States, it'll be component. What games are on the Apple Pippin? Not many. Not many worth mentioning. The noteworthy ones are the first Marathon by Bungie, Shockwave by EA, which was a 3DO game. The one game I had, which I actually really enjoyed, was Tropic Island Pinball. It's a pinball game. It was actually really solid. So... and there's like a really crappy... I think there's a really crappy Power Rangers game on it. There's a really crappy driving game on it. It's not worth it, really. If you could hack the Pippins, it would be awesome. If you could, like, turn it into a Mac from that era, oh, it would be great. Because it's got VGA out on it. I think it even has a mouse and keyboard port. I mean, it basically is a Mac, except it's not... yeah, you can't run, you know, old Mac software on it. From what I understand, the at-world models... so there's the at-mark model, which is, like, it's the white model, but I think there are the black out-world or at-world models. I think those can actually be hacked to run Mac stuff, but it's probably not easy based on the stuff I was reading several years ago. But yeah, the at-mark system is what most people are going to buy. The at-worlds are much more expensive. You're just stuck with the base library, and it's kind of crappy for the most part. I mean, Marathon's cool. Shockwave is, it's alright. It's the best version of Shockwave, but... and unless you're like a pinball diehard like me, like Tropic Island probably isn't going to mean much to you. It's really just one of those things, like, you have... just to say you have it, to say you've toyed with it, and to look at it. Yeah, it's unfortunate because the Pippin actually, it looked like it was like pretty decent hardware, actually. You know? I think most games ran at 480i. Which, I mean, games on PS1 and Saturn usually never ran at 480i. Usually. Like, they were usually 240p, you know? So that's interesting. Makes you wonder what could have been done with the Pippin at the time. But yeah. So yeah, Galaxy Stranger, yeah, congrats on the TV pickup. It should be awesome for classic gaming. Well, actually, I mean, if it's not doing any analog to digital conversion, I don't know. Do those models still have A to D conversion? I assume not, since they don't have HDMI. It's just all analog. But I don't know. You'd have to research it. I wonder if you could still use light guns in those, because I know you can't. I had a Wega that was HDMI. By the way, even over HDMI, it could only do 1080i tops. Like, those TVs can't do 1080p. Maybe there were, like, you know, higher grade models that could do that, but mine couldn't do 1080p. It was 1080i tops, even with HDMI. Yeah, it still did signal processing, so old school games would still have like a teensy tiny bit of input lag. It was still a great TV though. I kind of wish I still had it, but the thing is, for me, like, I had so many damn TVs, I didn't know what to do with, so I ended up donating it to a friend, and he uses it. It was nice though. Like, my old school games looked great on it. They really did. Especially if you did S-Video and up, they looked really fantastic on it. But I already have a 25-inch Trinitron with composite and S-Video, and I have another Trinitron that's like 23 inches, but it's got a component on it. And then I have a, you know, 47-inch HD screen out in the main room. I have multiple computer monitors. I have a Sony PVM that's 14 inches. I have a little display in my bedroom with a 360 hooked up to it, mainly just for music. And I actually kind of have more than I need right now, to be honest. To think about, like, you get really good TV sets, but then you're like, God, it takes up so much space, and I don't use it that often. And, like, I could use that space back. So I ended up getting rid of the Wega and then putting a weight bench in its place. Pathways into Darkness? I have no idea, Liberal Arts Guy. I don't have an answer for that. I've never heard of that game. I don't know if it was an actual Pippin release. If it wasn't an actual Pippin release, then no, it can't work on the Pippin. TP, old ways to play, older PCs to play older games. Yeah. For that, I built computers. So I have a Windows 95 dedicated machine, I have a Windows 98 dedicated machine, and I have a Windows XP/Windows 7 dedicated machine. All separately built. The Windows 95 machine was actually built for me by someone else several years ago, but the guy did a pretty terrible job with it, so I had to gut it, swap it to a brand new case, upgrade some parts. So I kind of consider it like my own build by this point, because it doesn't look anything like it did when it was sent my way. But yeah, then the Windows 98 machine I built from the ground up. I bought parts on the internet, you know, the motherboard, CPU, GPU, sound card, RAM, all that stuff. So you can actually get, if you're comfortable with doing that type of stuff, you can get decent motherboard, CPU, RAM combinations. And then you just need to find yourself an old, you know, GPU or sound card. And it's a lot of work, actually, getting all that stuff up and running, but it's worth it. It really is worth it. It's so much better playing Windows 95, 98 stuff on the actual computers themselves and not through virtual machines. Like, they feel right, like how they're supposed to feel. So It's a first-person shooter by Bungie. Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure that's not a Pippin game, because if it was, I would have heard about it by now. So... a friend of mine loaned me a datapath capture card, which has DVI inputs, or a DVI input. So I'm gonna rig that up into my main machine here, and then see how that handles the 75 hertz signal that you know, old VGA signals have. I'll have to do well, actually, I won't be able to capture my 95 machine because it's VGA only, but my 98 machine will run most of the stuff that my 95 one does, which kind of makes my 95 machine pretty redundant. But I will I'll run that into the capture card with DVI. Unfortunately, that video card has VGA and DVI, so I should be able to run VGA out to a separate monitor to view the gameplay. And the idea is to try to capture DOS stuff, but not use DOSBox. I might resort to using DOSBox just because, you know, there will be a point where I'll get desperate. But for now, the idea is to run my Windows 98 machine, play DOS games on that, and run it into this datapath capture card. So we're going to do that real soon. We're going to try it out. But in the meantime, I can do DVI to HDMI conversion, run it into my FrameMeister, and then and capture stuff that's like 1024 by 768. You know, do like the 98 through 2002 eras of games like Quake 3 Arena, Unreal Tournament, stuff like that. So I've already tested that out on Twitch many months ago. So, like a bunch of these Sega PC titles I've wanted to do. Like I've got Panzer Dragoon, Sega Touring Car, Sega Rally, Daytona, House of the Dead, Virtua Cop, stuff like that. So we're gonna do a Sega PC game stream sometime in the future, sometime this year. I just gotta get those computers out, because the thing about those computers is that they're bulky. They're really big. Like my 98 machine too is in like a full tower case. It was completely unnecessary. Like it's massive. It's almost as big as my current like full tower Ryzen system, but it's for a Windows 98 machine. And the motherboard's not even that big. I think it might even be like a micro ATX board. So I could put it in like a mid-tower, not even a mid-tower. It would be fine, but I don't want to gut the parts and swap it out, so I just leave it. But yeah, it's fun. I can't. I've got to stop myself, guys, because I'll talk about these old computers all night. But yeah, I'm gonna get out of here. So thanks everybody for hanging out. I hope you guys enjoyed this stream. And we actually went about an hour longer than I expected, but that's fine. Hey, Mark, thank you for your super chat. And Liberal Arts Guy, yes. I get that question probably about as much as I get the Quake question. Yeah, if it's yes. The short answer is yes. The Quake I want to do next, though, is Quake 3 Arena. And then whenever I finally beat the original Unreal, I'd like to do that. And then it would be fun to mess around with the Unreal Tournament games, or at least UT99. I have the Game of the Year edition of UT99. So we would probably, you know, mess around with that for a stream. Would be fun. I don't really have an answer to that, JD, because I haven't been on Intel parts since the Pentium 4 days. No, I've been using AMD stuff for the whole period, that whole period of time. But I mean, i5s are pretty nice. But it depends. Like, I don't know if you're talking an i5 from 8 years ago or an i5 from like now. Ideally, you want to get as much as you can afford that your motherboard supports. You know, You'll definitely want to do some research, check out benchmarks and stuff like that. But keep in mind that streaming is very resource intensive. I recommend going the best you can. So like if you're on the AMD front, a Ryzen 7. If you're on the Intel front, some kind of i7. And you do want a decent amount of memory. You want at least 8 gigs, preferably 16 for streaming. And you want a decent GPU. Because if you're doing 1080p 60 streaming like I am right now, OBS will eat up tons of resources. Like, I'm not even using GPU acceleration, and it's still eating up 30% of my GPU right now, and it's using up 25% of my CPU. And I'm on a Ryzen 7 1700X from 2 years ago. And, yeah, I've got 32 gigs of RAM. My graphics card is mid-range. It's an RX 580. And, it's still pretty demanding, you know? Hey, no, Mark, it's okay, man. It's okay, dude. You don't have to apologize. It's just good to see you, dude. But that's the other thing, JD Crow, is that you could also stream at lower resolutions. I still know people on Twitch that only stream at 720p, 30 frames a second. So that's perfectly fine. So I did 720p 30 for a long time, and I did 720p 60 until my computer one day just couldn't do it anymore. Like, it started to struggle with it as time went on. Although, in hindsight, I think I know why it was doing that. But I'm on a totally different computer now, so it's like, it doesn't even matter. But I saw other people's streams, and I was like, I want that quality. Like, I saw some streams that were 1080p, 60 FPS, they looked beautiful. And so that's why I went, 2 years ago, I went all out on a PC build that cost me a lot of money. It was worth it, you know? My streams have been buttery smooth ever since. And we're still not, you know, even though, like I said, my GPU is being tapped for like 30% of it, and my CPU is being tapped for 20 to 25% of it, that's actually still not that much at all. You know, if I streamed even 720p 60 on my old machine, we'd be sitting at 60 or 70% CPU utilization, which is bad when you're streaming. You'll start, like, streams will start chopping up big time. You'll start dropping frames left and right. Well, not dropping frames, but I mean, it gets technically dropping frames, but OBS has this thing where, like, you know, frames are actually dropped in the data transmission to the servers, and those come up as dropped frames in OBS. But you'll also notice that your gameplay will be choppier, or your stream output will be choppier, not because of the OBS reported dropped frames, but your hardware just can't keep up. It gets pretty complex. If you're doing music recording, you don't really need a hugely beefy machine. I mean, my old AMD system from 2009 was, like, you know, a music creation beast. You know, that's what I did a lot of back then, before I got into doing YouTube, you know, seriously. So, yeah, I mean, like, any current i5, you'll be fine if you're doing mostly music recording and stuff like that. So, yeah, you'll be perfectly fine. But if you're, like, I was under the impression you were trying to live stream. But if you are trying to live stream, yeah, you want a beefier system. You definitely want to kind of go as high as you can that's still affordable to you, or within your budget. I definitely don't recommend going cheap. When I first got into streaming, this is before I started actually streaming on... No, this was actually after I started streaming on Twitch in I started streaming on Twitch in, like, the second week of 2015. I was using my AMD desktop at the time, but I wanted a pinball stream as well, so I went out and bought a cheap laptop. It was like $300 at Walmart, and it, like, barely got the job done. I had to run the stream at like 480p or something like that. And I've got those archived on my pinball channel, and they look atrocious. And I had like crappy microphone, crappy webcams. So I made a mistake there. I went cheap, thinking, oh, I can stream. No, I couldn't stream. No. So what I should have done is put that money towards a machine that would have been considerably more powerful. Maybe I wouldn't have been able to afford it right away, but if I waited a couple months and bought just a really good laptop, I would have had a top-notch pinball stream right from the very beginning. But instead, I wasted $300 on something that I thought would work, but because I wasn't really that educated in that space, you know, it didn't work. And sometimes that's how you learn, especially in something like streaming, where streaming is not the sort of thing that like everybody does. So it's hard to get advice for like a hardware setup for streaming. I think it's a lot easier now, but back in 2015, I think it was much harder. You had to experiment. Yeah, so definitely get as much as you can. You know, as beefy hardware setup as you can that your budget allows. But if you're just recording music stuff locally, yeah, you don't need a powerful computer for that. I mean, unless unless you're probably in some pro studio or something like that. But even then, I mean, my computers from 10 years, like decent PCs from 10 years ago, could run any plugin you wanted simultaneously. You know, if you're doing a lot of stuff like MIDI and things like that, and just, you know, just raw recordings, yeah, you don't need a whole lot. So, alrighty guys, I said it once already, but this time I mean it. I'm gonna actually head out. Yeah, no, I mean, if you can afford 32 gigs of RAM, I definitely recommend it. Especially if you're gonna stream. I mean, the more memory, the better, basically. So 32 gigs of RAM... Oh my god, I'm getting on another tangent. So 32 gigs of RAM, most people do not need right now. Even if they game really hard, 16 is probably what you need. You probably don't need any more than that. But if you're streaming and, say, playing PC games at the same time, then you want 32 gigs of RAM. Because if you play modern games and you stream on the same system, those are two very resource-intensive things, and you will notice a performance boost as you do both simultaneously if you have 32 gigs of RAM. So, but yeah, that said, I am officially out. So, yeah, thanks for hanging out, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. The Japanese PS2 version of Ys III is pretty cool. I don't think it's very expensive to acquire. I picked up my copy sometime last year. Like I said early on in stream, I think it was like $20 or $25 or something like that. Which isn't as cheap as, like, say, the import PC Engine version, which is like $10 if you're, you know, probably at most. This one is a little more expensive, but it's still really affordable. We're not talking like a $50, $60, $70 game. So, if any of you have a way to play Japanese PS2 games, or if you have a Japanese PS2, or if you just want to acquire the game via other means and play it on your PC via emulation, at least now you know what it's like. If you're a fan of the original Ys III, I think you'd really like it. It's definitely worth going through as a fan of the original Ys III, any of the original Ys III versions. And I hope you guys enjoyed seeing it. So... Zaku, PSP Remake is not called Wanderers from East. So that should have been the first giveaway, my friends. Good to see you, by the way. You did get here really late. We're ending. Yeah, Galaxy. No, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, the more RAM, the better. But, I mean, a lot of that stuff, too, also comes down to your CPU as well. Like, you could have a really crappy CPU and 32 gigs of RAM, and the RAM will only do so much for you. So, I mean, you do need good hardware in other areas as well. But, yeah, the biggest thing for me, I'm gonna rant just a little bit longer, is when I noticed, like, doubling my RAM to 32 made a huge difference was when I was trying to stream Quake Champions, which is a modern FPS, on on PC. It's pretty demanding, actually. I was trying to stream it and play it at the same time, and I was streaming at 1080p 60, and I was noticing my performance in-game would stutter like crazy when I was streaming it, and it made it, like, it was playable, but it was very uncomfortable to play. Like, when I play my FPSs like that, I want them to be buttery smooth, especially a Twitch arena shooter like Quake Champions. So I doubled my RAM, and issue went away completely. Now the game is buttery smooth. I probably get more than, yeah, in some cases I probably get like 80 to 100 frames a second, and it's great. Now I can still stream at 1080p 60. Yeah, it was the RAM. The RAM just, you know, it helped so much in that case. But most people aren't taxing their systems like that, you know. But if you are planning on taxing your system like that, it will be worth the upgrade, as long as the other things in your system are still half decent as well. So, but yeah, alrighty guys, I'm officially out. As usual, we will do the old Patreon shoutouts once again. So thanks everyone that is continuing to support my channel and my streams and my quote-unquote show through Patreon. As usual, if you're interested in helping me out that way, feel free to check that out. Links in the description box below. Also, again, thanks to the recent live stream super chatters as well. We actually got quite a few live stream super chatters tonight. So let me actually go through that and thank everyone that did that tonight. So I really appreciate that too. YouTube's kind of going through like another adpocalypse, supposedly. It's not that my it's not like my ad revenue's really been good at all these last couple of years, but I'll probably end up getting less than I normally do. And so the super chats kind of keep me afloat in that regard, and they keep a tiny paycheck coming in from Google each month. So I really appreciate that, guys. So, you know, big thanks to TPJ for actually super chatting multiple times. Taunaharis. Dude, I don't even think I thanked Taunaharis earlier. I don't think I saw it. But Jose and Mark, so thank you guys so much for that. Much appreciated. Also, I've updated the channel membership slide here, so you can see who's actually been doing the membership with badges, and you also get these emotes to use in the chat if you become a member. So something to keep in mind as well. But yeah, thank you guys so much for hanging out. For those of you guys on Twitch, I will be going live on Twitch in a couple of minutes, most likely. I'm gonna use the bathroom and then go live over there. And yeah, it'll be one of those streams, if you know what I mean. But for everyone else, this archive should be up tomorrow. No Let's Play this week. Maybe I'll come back on Saturday and stream again. I don't know. Let's Play will be posted next week on Sunday. But also next week we'll do another Thursday live stream, as usual. Next week we'll be back at our regular time, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. So, one last mention. Last Thursday of every month for the near future, I'll be doing something else outside of YouTube. So, that'll postpone my stream on those days until late, like 11 or 12 p.m. But every other Thursday, including the next Thursday will be 9 p.m. EST. This music is driving me crazy. I need to get out of here, guys. So, alrighty, guys. Take it easy.